I forgot I was on it live.
You want to do what, Austin?
Pasta.
Yeah.
Should I go no shirt under the jacket?
No shirt. What do you mean by no
all
shirt?
chest hair.
I don't know what you mean by
All
no
chest
shirt.
hair. All chest hair.
Do you have chest hair?
Yes, I have fucking chest hair.
How much chest hair do you have?
It's an animal.
It's like a disgusting, filthy, sweaty ex-Christian animal.
Well, I definitely took a shower and bathed, so it's not disgusting.
These lights.
Is just Jeff in here?
Yeah, what's up?
I heard that you call a guy named David Gonzalez.
No, he called me.
Oh, he called you. Okay.
Yeah,
but
he called me.
you got his number from a Christian truck stop.
I got it from a Christian White Pages. They call it the Holy White Pages.
Don't you get fed up of demolishing these apologists from TikTok?
It's how I live. Much like vampires need blood, I need the tears of Christian apologists.
I heard Murder Shed Steve is around here somewhere. Where you at, Steve?
I actually grew my 15th chest hair today myself, so I'm pretty proud of it.
Man.
Are we gonna get this stream started soon or what? Oh, are we still
I'm
in
ready.
the? We're in the atheist green room. How do you like the atheist pizza?
Oh, I love all the babies.
Austin, get off my goddamn ass, dude.
You
I
know what?
think
Then
Austin's-
shut up and start the stream.
I'm sick and
started.
For a big guy,
Fucking Christ.
for a big guy, you got tiny little scary hands.
Oh, that's coming from the guy that votes for Trump. Fuck you. Start the stream.
Voted
It
for
is
Trump.
started.
What do you mean voted for Trump? Who voted for Trump?
Start the stream. Start the stream.
I said he looks young. I didn't vote for him.
You voted for him.
Your mother used to date him.
Felons can't vote.
Where's all the atheist ravers? Make some noise. Welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. You gotta wait for that drop, yo. As soon as that DMT hits, you know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Oh, look, Atheist Chico's in the chat. He don't know. He doesn't even know. I got a whole nother, like 16 bars breaking this shit
yeah.
down.
Go ahead, Austin. Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about.
We know.
But Jeff, when you take these calls, when you're on the Atheist Troll Live, do you get scared when you see like a David Gonzalez type or the conservative Christian type call in?
No, because that's how I know it's going to be a good call.
Even if they got their cats in the background?
I would actually prefer higher level debates, but it seems that either there isn't such a thing as a higher level Christian apologist, or those people don't call into my show. I'm not sure which is
Well,
true.
You're
Gotcha.
you're really advertising in a real elite pool.
I
on
know.
TikTok.
TikTok is the main bread and butter of Christian apologetics.
I mean, that's really where you find the ones
That's where
that
you find the
shine
best
like
talent.
gold.
Say
That's
Christian
pretty fun.
apologetics again, one more time.
Christian apologetics.
Christian apologetics.
I just call it Christian excuses because nothing else needs apologetics.
You want to get this show started at the Atheist Roundtable.
Yay!
Looking for a new and challenging opportunity? Do you have previous landscaping, mortuary, or medical experience? Are you available to work flexible hours, including nights and weekends? Are you ready to get involved in a business where you can simply make a killing? If you answered yes to these questions, then the Murder Shed Steve Intern Program wants to hear from you. Registration for the 2021 season is now underway. Contact us today for an information package to get you started. Many valuable perks are available for those willing to reach out and grab them. Qualified participants must agree to have street epistemology applied to anything they say.
And welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. And now
Wow,
I
I
hear
love how we have
everything
echo.
from both sides. And
I'm glad you know how to use two microphones at the same time, Oz.
thanks, Jeff. Thanks. Appreciate it. I'm glad you broke into my fucking closet and took my jacket, asshole.
This is that why it doesn't fit?
But it's exactly why it doesn't fit. you know,
I know people see you on the show and they think you're like a normal person, but he's actually like 4'2", and everything around him has just been built to suit his same size so that it looks correct. That whiteboard on the side there that you see, you might get those at Target for about $10. It's about 1.5 feet by 1 foot tall.
well, when you do
That
shows
table
with the
behind him is
troll,
actually
the
a kid's
troll-
table.
The troll will troll, and we know the trolls are just full of shit.
Well,
So
Oz's hat
anyway,
size
I hope
2.5.
I
Steve, you
have
want
one
to tell
of those
about
whiteboards myself. Actually, T-Jump makes it look tiny.
But Steve, I know you mentioned you grew in your 15th chest hair. You said tonight.
Here, yeah, I'm up to 15. Here, see, look at that.
I'm up to 15. I'm up to 15 hairs.
Yeah,
That's great. That's great. And Jeff just had his first glass of whiskey tonight. So we'll go
I
ahead and
told
get
my
this,
mom.
Oh,
I told my mom today about my 15 chest hair. She said that she was proud of me.
so let's get
Obviously,
into this.
she should.
Should we get into this video?
We are, and I want to make sure we give this a proper introduction.
Okay.
So we have a few Christians or theists that that like to frequent our chat area or here or on TikTok, and as Seth Andrews very eloquently stated, they love to come and perform their theological masturbation in our chat areas, making themselves feel superior due to their theology. So we have a little clip from
Or lack thereof.
exactly. From Just Jeff's call-in show that he does. And what days and what times do you do that, Jeff?
Actually, right now it's random.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what's the channel? How do they find that? How do they find this call-in show?
So
Jeff?
they can find it by just searching Atheist Troll Live or visiting my link tree, which is link.tree/the Atheist Troll.
All right. And after this, we'll make sure that's in the description because we definitely do want you guys to see this. But we have a special guest that called in to Jeff's show. What was it? 2 nights ago, Jeff?
Yes, 2 nights ago.
Okay, 2 nights ago, and he's somebody he's been on the Atheist Roundtable a couple times, and we love David, we respect David, but this I have to just be brutally honest was this was a beatdown. This was a beatdown. Jeff beat him down, and we're going to dig into it, and we're going to have some fun doing it. So Jeff, I know you got the controls there. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, actually, before you press play, Jeff, I got a question for the both of you. How do you keep an Amish woman happy?
I don't know how.
2 Mennonite.
Mennonite.
Proceed.
That's why we keep him around, folks. That's why we keep him around.
My teeth, gotta make your own cold. Yeah, we're gonna get into it here in just a second. Look, I cannot recommend injecting yourself with caffeine or coffee. I know that Murder Shed was just joining this stream about this time, so I have to set this up. This phone call, 210 number. Here we go. Hello.
Hi, Jeff.
What's up?
Hey, not much. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. What do you want to talk about?
What do you got?
Well, I am listening.
Hey, just to stop for, when's the last time you called somebody to say, hey, I called you. What do you want to talk about?
I was just going to say that. Like, I would never call into a talk show saying, hey, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Well, we sure could use rain.
You don't believe in free will?
No, I'm just saying that in the Bible, free will is obviously not something that God was afraid of getting involved in.
Sure. Is there something wrong with that?
Well, it is when people say things like the reason that he allowed slavery with the Israelites was because he was allowing them to practice their free will.
Okay, I don't know that I would necessarily say that, but what is your position? Your position is that you think that it is always wrong to support or condone something like slavery, right?
To own another person, I personally could not find a way to justify ownership of another person like property.
Yes, it's always wrong.
Okay, yeah.
It's always wrong. Yes,
mean, you can
Spencer
say-
is. It's always wrong.
Especially if you could create the best of all possible worlds where slavery would not need to exist because you're God.
Now, this
Right.
question was posed to me by another person who said, what if it's what you're into when it's a sexual thing? If you're
Then
into
it's not-
bondage.
Then it's not slavery, it's consensual.
No, it's like, that's like you're into it. You want to be owned by another person. Then is it okay?
Yeah, and after an hour or two, and everybody got their rocks off, had an orgasm, it's over.
Okay, keep going.
And last time I called, we were talking about this, and we were having some connection issues. We didn't get to finish actually.
He
talking
had
about
obviously
that.
connection issues. I never
We
have
never
connection
really,
issues.
J. Mike,
established
are you there,
the
buddy?
definition of what it means to own.
What is going on?
Hello?
What? Hey. Are you calling in to people on a call-in show, replaying a call-in show? Is this like an Inception phone call right now?
So,
Well, let's
J.
continue.
Mike. J. Mike,
Oh,
you there?
I'm here.
J. Mike,
Can you hear me?
how are you hacking? What the fuck? Did you hacking into our show? What are you doing, dude? You are Jesus.
Well-
You're literally Jesus.
Well, as somebody with a programming degree, I just know I basically I work for Anonymous, so, you know how it goes.
You have a programming degree?
Yeah, that's what I went to school for initially.
Well, welcome to the
I'm
fucking
so-
show, dude. Pull up a chair. You don't even have to show your face. Get a drink. Get whatever the fuck Jesus drinks and enjoy the goddamn
Water.
show with us.
Am I on the show right now?
You are, and it's funny. This is not the first time that I've seen J. Mike pull a miracle because I once witnessed him, off screen but on camera. Right? He drank some water and he pissed out wine. It was incredible.
Did you taste it?
Well, I actually
I
have
will-
my hand on my pud right now, so that's what I was actually in the process of making. But
Someone. I think that that's where the conversation needs
Well,
to
I
start
would
before
say-
we even start talking about.
Own like property that can be passed on as inheritance. That's how the Bible describes it.
Okay. And that was in reference to which
Got to find my Bible.
passage? Do you remember? 'Cause I don't.
Yes, it is Leviticus chapter 25, verses 45. I'll read it for you. Moreover, of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begot in your land. And they shall be your possession. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. And they shall be your bondsmen forever. Very clear.
Okay, so the person
The
that
word
you're
of the Lord.
buying becomes yes.
Wait, Jeff, did
Okay,
you read that
so-
in context?
Well, actually, if you read the whole chapter, it only gets worse. So,
Yeah.
I
I
always
love that
context,
context
thing, though.
bullshit. I fucking
Yeah, I made the video about context being bullshit, and people didn't even get the entire context of the video. They only listened to the first part. So,
So
If
now
you
we
need to-
understand their ability to understand context.
so here's the thing, and here's the thing about context.
I love context. Put into it.
If we're reading a human document, like let's say the Iliad or some other William Shakespeare something, you need to understand the context of the time and able to understand the human writer that wrote that book and or the group of people that wrote that book. But if we have word or inspiration from a God, this should transcend time. This should transcend understanding. This should be something that no matter what makes sense. Otherwise, you're telling me that he intentionally gave us a word that could be misunderstood. And I'd be punished for that. Doesn't make sense. But let's go back to the video.
And that's just
If you
the beginning
remember
of God's
last time,
bigotry.
I
Yeah.
said that
It's just
Only-
Jeff, actually.
by the definition of what we have, at least I'm using the Merriam-Webster anyways, has a lot of definitions behind
Well, how do
it.
we know how they defined it?
You have to look at the context.
Okay, so what context should we look at?
Well, let me pull up the definition here, 'cause I don't.
Let me
remember.
let me Google definitions. Words change.
Can you pause it real fast?
So we can't.
Can we pause it real
so-
fast?
I just have
Can we
one.
fucking pause it real fast?
I have one statement real quick. Is that I feel like it's just really easy just to ask them like, do you think that having someone as property is objectively bad, right? If they say no, well then now we're in a really weird. Now we have the demonstrations of the religion poisoned your mind. If they say yes, then why has it changed? Why is it no longer okay? Because it seems now you're some weird kind of moral relativism. But I just never understand that. I can never get like a straight answer. It's like, is it okay right now for me to own a person? No, it's not. Okay, well then why was it okay at one point?
Well,
Well,
it's
it was
not
okay when-
ownership. It's voluntary
okay,
servitude.
Okay, so Steve, we've done this practice like 100 times, but Steve, Jeff, J. Mike, Pasta, Oz, is there any context in which owning a human as property is morally acceptable?
Yeah,
No.
Pastor John.
No,
Oh, Jesus!
I still say no.
Can we ask Pastor John? Pastor John, is it okay for me to own you under the rules of Levitical slavery? Like, would you allow me to own you in the terms of Levitical slavery, provided you had some sort of money loss or something where you needed to be in debt to me? And by the way, I own your children for life. Like, is that okay?
And I'll sell your daughter.
Yeah, and I can sell your daughter into marriage somewhere else.
One thing that I've been really getting on too is people always say it's indentured servitude or voluntary slavery, things like that. So I just say, okay, I will grant you that they were paid employees. According to Exodus 21 verses 20 through 21, how much are you allowed to beat your paid employee?
Near death.
Near death, as much as you want.
Because it clearly says that if they don't die, then that's okay because they are your property.
Right.
Anyway, back to the video.
Oh, where's my book? God damn it.
Really just go by Webster's definition for a word on how we think it should be defined.
Okay, are you going off Webster's definition? to
No,
define
I'm not. I don't have
slavery?
anything. I don't have anything pulled up. We're gonna
Well,
have to
I
talk
mean, when
about
you're talking-
word usage. We're gonna have to talk about usages. And when I look at this entire chapter, not just that verse, it is very clear that they're talking about ownership of a person like that of property. And property can be owned and passed on to other people because it's a product or thing. That's what I get from the context of the entire chapter.
Right. But what I'm trying to point out is, are you using a dictionary definition for?
Here he is, like trying to figure out what's the way I can make this work.
And this is where it's funny. My wife, it was yesterday. She asked me. She was like, "Why did they call it Christian apologetics?" Because she didn't.
Why
grow
do
up-
they call it apologetics?
She didn't grow up in church, anything like.
Lucky.
She's really been a lifelong atheist. Why is it Christian? Why are they apologizing? And she said that, and I hadn't even really thought of that in the context of why are they apologizing? I just knew it from growing up what that term was, and it is literally. I think about that argument that David's putting forth, and John puts forth, and others put forth. It's like you're literally apologizing to me now in a new retrospect, just in the last 24, 48 hours. You're literally apologizing for the absolute disgrace and disgusting actions that your religion and your book has put on this planet according to it. So that's why, for me, I know that's not the proper term, but to me, that's now how I define it as apologetics. You feel you have to apologize for the atrocities that your book has caused.
That's about how I've always viewed it, as a cradle atheist myself, which I'm actually warming up to that term, to be honest, Oz. I kind of like it now. Yeah, like a sweet little baby boy that doesn't believe in God.
Right.
He looks like he's getting ready to go to the salt mines.
Slavery?
It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about slavery. Diffuse the argument.
Okay, so you're not talking about slavery right now.
I'm
You're
not talking about slavery. I'm just
owning
talking
a
about
person.
owning another person as property. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, let me pull up my definitions here real quick. So property, as we were talking about last time, can have many different definitions and contextual meanings. For example, a child is considered property by definition of property, depending on which definition you use. A wife is considered property, and depending on what definition you use. People in the military.
Which one would you say works when you can inherit it? Like pass it on as inheritance? Can you pass a wife on as inheritance? Can you pass a child on as inheritance?
Okay, so when you're talking about what slavery was,
Dude, J Mike, sick setup.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
real.
cool. I mean, it looks real.
You see my
that's why
stocks?
this
We're not talking about
whole
slavery.
matters. Yes, you are, because you're talking about because the context of the ownership of a person is specifically in.
So now he's defining slavery using the terms supplied from the Bible. He's chosen, based on the information I've given him from the verse in the Bible, to clarify that as slavery.
Direct
Right.
contrast with slavery.
Well, there's different types
or
of
bond
slavery.
servitude.
This isn't bond servitude, though. They're not paying off a debt. They are owned as property for life.
Okay.
There's no bond. There's no bond here.
Oh, can we stop it? Can we stop it right here?
You think-
This is where. So Dr. Josh, he's been on our channel a couple times, and we're getting ready to have him back on. Go buy his book, and I'm going to make sure that we have this in the description. Go buy his book on Old Testament slavery. This is where you will just get absolutely torn apart and broken down on all these different attempts and justify. There you go. These attempts to justify slavery in the Old Testament. It's one of two things. It is either you owed a debt, and that is a real thing in the Old Testament, or you were just a slave and your family, your daughter, your children would be slaves. So there's not like this in-between point where it's like we have this and this and maybe a little bit of something in between, but it is one or the other. And that's point blank what it is by the law. When you go back to your historical documents. But J Mike, it looks like you're hanging out with Steve Jobs or somebody there. I can't tell who you're hanging out with there in that room. But
I'm trying to find my headphones, but I don't know where I put them. So hopefully you don't hear an echo from me.
It sounds
from
good.
the speakers.
I've been hanging out.
Echo. What are you talking about?
Nope.
You don't hear yourself? Awesome, sweet.
I've been hanging out with Steve Chops. Where's that drum roll? There we go.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, back to the video.
Back to the video.
Thinking of Exodus.
When you sell yourself to a person to work for them,
This isn't selling
You are-
yourself.
yes, it is.
Where do you get that? Where's the context in Leviticus 25 that you get that those people are selling themselves?
Because that's the context of slavery in the Bible.
No. That's in Exodus 21 is what you're talking about. And we're talking about what Israelites did to people outside their tribe. You're thinking of rules for other Israelites. Which, by the way, thank you again to Dr. Josh, because I wouldn't know what the fuck I'm talking about without this book. And he explains it very well. And I actually I took some of his information and I validated that through some other people. But yeah, the Levitical slavery rules and Exodus slavery rules, these were all different rules for different tribes of Israel. They were allowed to do whatever the fuck they wanted for people outside of Israel. It didn't matter. Thank you, Doug.
What were they referred to as the heathen around you?
Yeah, the heathen around you. You could do whatever you want. It didn't matter.
Yep.
The 7-year rule, all that shit's for Israelites.
Yep. And I remember Jeff asked me after him and I talked, he was like, is it worth buying the book? And I was like, nah, dog, it's worth buying the book.
It's actually really good, like easy read too. He doesn't talk like a lot of people do over your head. He talks really down to earth in terms that you can understand and gives you some stuff that you can validate yourself. You know, you can go and research some of this stuff because I don't take one book for fact. I always like to validate those claims that are made. But he makes a really good statement. You know, he makes a really good piece that's backed up with what we know about the history of the time.
So if we can right now, Dr. Josh Bone, and you can find him at Digital Hammurabi on Twitter, YouTube, all that. And as a Christian, if you want your whole world to get wrecked,
get some context.
when it comes to slavery in the Old Testament, you're not just finding something that feels good to you. Go read his books. If not, you just want to pretend. Proceed.
As outlined in Exodus 21. As this clearly says, the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy of their families. It doesn't say if they have debt, you can purchase them to pay off that debt. We're talking about
can I just say, Jeff,
selling people.
I love your intensity there. You can buy.
I don't understand.
I got half chubbed.
How does that work? How does that work? Like, hey, I owe this dude 20 shekels. I need to go work for him for the entirety of my rest of my life. And also
here's your
my
fucking
children.
shekels. Have you had enough? Have you had enough?
It just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. I mean, look, I can go to a title loan place right now and take the car title that I have for a car that's worth $20,000 and take out a loan for $10,000. And then a week from now, they're going to want 15 grand to pay it off.
But have you ever thought that it's kind of like the NBA, Jeff? Have you ever thought that?
Yeah, that's true. They are owned. Aren't they owned like property? They're not allowed to actually leave or do anything that their owners wouldn't allow them to do.
One of the worst things I'd ever heard. I think that was, and I'm cool with him, but I think it was with the person that you would talk to, actually. But yeah, continue.
Okay, here we go.
No. Oh, that was
property that
can
be
weak.
passed on as an inheritance to their children.
And Exodus doesn't say what you just said either.
Exodus
the
21
evidence that we
you
have
can go to
found,
Exodus 21. That's where you're getting your other stuff from about slavery, about bond servitude. That's different. That's not what I'm talking about.
Exodus, what was it?
21, pretty much the whole chapter.
Really?
Isn't it always fun, Austin,
Really?
when you know the Bible better than the Christian that's debating you? And it's the most fun. It's the most fun of my day is being able to quote Bible verses to Christians, and they're like, "What was that? Where?"
No, hold on, guys. Hold on, everybody listening right now. We're talking about slavery and shit, and he's like, Exodus what? Exodus what? Exodus what? Exodus what?
Oh shit!
Exodus what?
Exodus 21 is a great read. Everybody get a Bible, read Exodus 21. It's fantastic.
Leviticus what? Exodus. Oh my god.
Yeah, just
which it's talking about. So
I'm trying to sit here and I'm just trying to let it, because typically I get kind of pissy when it comes to this topic. So I'm trying to be chill as a cucumber. I'm trying to hone
Well,
it
don't
on.
worry, he's not here,
Find
so
my-
you're among
you know,
friends.
I'm trying to find my Zen
Let me
right
grab
now.
my dictionary.
Yeah, hold on. Like Jesus Unfollowed just said, let me grab that goddamn dictionary and show you what the fuck this shit means. It's not that fucking hard, man. It's not that fucking difficult to figure out what the fuck a slave is. God damn it.
So, J. Mike, this is a conversation and topic that you've used before that I actually use your argument a lot for. What would you say, like words in dictionaries? Like the word, I mean, you could pick a different dictionary to get a different definition of the word. So, do words have definitions?
They have usages. So, like, if the way that I put it is like, I had a friend one time when we would watch Celebrity Deathmatch. And we didn't want our mom or dad to come in, so we came up with some word. I don't remember what it was, but it was like shlabala, right? And so we just made it up, right? But shlabala didn't have a meaning. It had a usage. Like we used it to represent something that was reflective of an experience in reality, which would be, holy shit, your mom's coming down the hallway, turn Celebrity Deathmatch off, shlubala. But you would just say that word, and that would be the usage of the word.
Wait, J.
So-
Mike, shlubala?
Yeah,
Is
it was
that-
some random word. I don't remember.
Shlabamanob,
No,
I think
is
what
that
it's saying.
is that Yiddish?
Is that exactly right? So, but
It sounds
the
Yiddish.
words just have usages. They don't have like intrinsic meanings. If you think like words are just things, like they're just sounds we fucking make with our mouths.
So, then what do you think the purpose of using a dictionary to look at Bible terms would be?
I'm sorry.
What would the purpose of using a dictionary to define biblical terms? Like, would that be a good thing to do?
To define the Bible.
Yeah. So, like, if you're reading the Bible and you're like, "Ooh, I wonder what this word means," and you go to a dictionary.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you could do that because you get multiple usages. I mean, you don't get just the one meaning of the word, but
This is going to come up later, so that's why I'm just setting up the stage.
yeah,
I was
sure.
about to say this is gonna come up later. I already because I watched the feed. Let's get into it.
Hey, J. Mike, you said that you were trying to find your
Context.
Zen. Send
So
one
a
of your
little book called
indentured
Did the Old
servants.
Testament endorse
I got
slavery?
it right
By
here,
Dr.
man. I got my
Joshua Brown.
Buddha, so I'm gonna rub his
Okay.
cool belly and
And he can explain better as he's he studies ancient languages. He does a very good job of understanding it. But the point is that there's no wiggling or mental gymnastics that you can do to get this verse out of the book. Either this verse is wrong and it shouldn't be in the Bible, or the God of the Bible clearly did not have a problem with the Israelites owning other people as property. Which in this case you should just own up to and just say, yeah, he did, and it must have been correct because God said so.
Oh, I'm not.
And then we can
denying
talk about
anything.
subjective morality.
Yeah. Okay. Are you saying that this guy's interpretation is correct?
No.
Or are we talking about the evidence about
the
whether or not
thing
what
is-
he's saying is correct?
The thing is, David, I love when Christians say things like, "You got evidence for that? You got evidence?
Fucking
You're
evidence.
asking me?
You're
It's in your
me. It's in
in
your
the book.
goddamn book. It's in your goddamn book. It's in your goddamn book. It's in your
Evidence.
goddamn book.
We're talking. I mean,
It's in
I
your
don't think can I make it any simpler? All it is, I didn't even say slavery. I've taken the word slavery out of their gun because they want to use that it wasn't slavery thing. That's fine. I'm not even going to get into that argument with you. We're just talking about owning another person like property, something that you can pass on to other people, like your children. Say, hey, this guy owed me money, and now he's yours. You can do with what you want with him. Just don't kill him.
All right. Well, anybody can talk about slavery. There's also the verses where God commands unborn babies to be ripped out of mothers' bellies. But we can get to that later. Let's keep talking about this because
Yeah, we gotta
this
get
is
through this.
probably
Well,
relevant.
you
Stop
could
it.
just
We're never gonna
go
get there.
first. You could just go first. First Samuel 15:3, where infants are just absolutely annihilated. But
Yeah, exactly.
Boiled.
but yeah,
But J Mike, fuck that shit. No, that shit doesn't matter.
yeah.
I don't get is if this book, the Bible, is
Yeah.
all that we need to understand God, then can you give me information about that verse without going outside the Bible?
Why can't I go outside the Bible?
Because if you have to go outside the Bible, that means that the Bible is incomplete, that there is something missing that is necessary for understanding it outside of it. So God either forgot or did not put it in the Bible.
I don't know that I agree with that because
Well, of course
But
not.
in order to understand the work of humans, which I believe the Bible to be the work of humans, in order to understand the work of humans, you do need outside references to understand it.
why do you think that a God who knows how human beings are and how evidence-driven they are, why would you think that he may not actually leave certain parts of history outside of the Bible? Maybe for just an ironic effect, for people to argue about slavery
Ironic?
for years, only to maybe find out that they were wrong all along, just to really test them and see if this is really about evidence, or
So
they're
he's
just going
just
to
a
keep
prick.
finding reasons to keep arguing against.
Cool.
You could say
What
that about
he has.
any religion, though.
But-
I mean, Muslims. make
so,
that
yeah, I
claim,
guess-
like, frequently that
No,
they're
not
good.
Yeah.
So
He wants to
is
play
that
hide
right?
and go
He did it to test them, is what he was saying.
Ironically, he said ironically.
So,
So God's just fucking with us.
well, so is he going? So the thing is that David likes to say a lot that, and I would love to have him on. So I don't want to talk about his position without him here, but he has told me that God is good. So like, why is he doing things now that are not good? If it's in his nature, when you use that argument, like, well, he wouldn't say that rape's okay because it's not in his nature. It was like, now you're literally contradicting that by suggesting that, like, yeah, he's fucking with us, so he's kind of going against this whole good nature. It's like,
If I got to heaven, right? So I die, I wake up in heaven, and it's the stereotypical like Christian heaven, and I'm like, oh shit, like that shit was real. And then God's like, hey, just so you know, I was just fucking with you. Like, I'm really sorry for all that, but it's how I get off. Welcome to heaven. Everybody goes to heaven when you die. That's just the only place. The whole hell thing, I just made that up just to have fun. I have an eternity, and it's really hard to get entertained anymore. So this is what I have to do.
Yeah. Cruel games.
Yeah.
It sounds like a very loving God to me.
It makes more sense to me than the Bible being true.
And and this is where, again, that word Christian apologetics starts to take on its own meaning, where it's like you're literally apologizing and trying to cover up or conceal the absolute evil that is tied to the God of this book. And it is, the more I read it and the more I understand it, the more I'm like, fuck that God.
Right.
I want nothing to do with that God.
Right.
That's why I've always said, according to the Bible, if you do believe that the Bible is true, I feel like the greatest trick the devil ever pulled is convincing everyone he was God.
Right. No, that's a good point. And from a if you're talking New Testament hustle, my go-to is the Apostle Paul. Really starting in Romans, the word faith, as we know it according to the Bible. Was it Philippians 11:1 or 1:11, whatever it is? Faith is a substance of things hoped for.
Hebrews
11. Yeah, thank you. Hebrews 11:1. The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That is the greatest hustle of all time. Think about that. He quoted it, then ran with it, and people bought into it up until today in 2020. People still buy it, that you don't need proof for anything. Just believe it because I told you to believe it.
No,
and
no,
there's been
you need
millions
proof.
and billions of dollars.
You do need
made
proof
off
when I come along and say something, and then you're like, whoa, you got evidence for that?
Well, but you're not Apostle Paul, right?
You got evidence? You got evidence for that?
But think about that. That's the
Not if you
greatest
don't have
hustle.
evidence.
That is the word faith, according to the New Testament. That is the greatest hustle of all mankind. Is he got people to actually believe in something that could not be demonstrated, proven, substantiated, anything. And look where we're at, 2020. We still literally have people going to federal buildings and state buildings, praying in front of buildings, laying their hands on concrete, praying that Trump wins in the name of their God.
I really wish I
Right?
could have been there for that,
Well-
so I could counter pray at the same time.
What was that thing Oz, that Bryce posted or whatever? It was because someone was like, well, is that statement? I was like, well, as long as whoever wins, at least Jesus is what matters. Jesus is all that matters. And then it's like, do all gods not matter? You know, what happened to that?
All gods matter.
Yeah,
All
right.
gods matter.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah,
Well, and
I thought that was hilarious.
I'll say this when we get back to the video. The other thing that I absolutely am entertained by with Christians specifically here in America is they thought Trump was winning the election day, right? And all over my Facebook and Twitter is like, oh, the Lord's delivering, yeah. And then the next day it's like, oh shit. Then the next day, they're going and laying hands on buildings and doing shit like that, right? And it's like, then when they realized that they lost, they and who they were voting for lost, it was, well, no matter what, no matter who's in office, God is in control and he's on the throne. So here's the fucked up part. Here's this is where we get down to psychology and where you fuck with people's heads is no matter what happens, you feel like you won. That's not real life. You don't get to win no matter what in real life. And that's one of my biggest problems with that is that they let them believe that even when they lost, they won. No, if you lose, motherfucker.
Did you do when you were when I know when I was a believer, I would do things like, let's say I was running late to work, and as I'm coming down the road, I get a green light. I give glory to God.
Oh, God.
He's getting me there on time. He changed that light to green for me.
Oh, Jeff, I've literally heard people and friends and family members close to me. There's like, oh, I pulled up to Walmart and I got the parking spot right by the door. That was the Lord. That was God. That was Jesus looking out for me. No, the guy just pulled out right before you. That's all the fuck happened.
You break your leg, playing basketball or something. That's Satan.
I had a sore on my hand once, and I took septic water off
Rabies?
of a I took septic water off of a statue, and I rubbed it in there, healed it right up. It looked like the statue was crying, but it was septic water.
Okay, well, let's get back to the video.
Yeah.
We keep finding
where's the
evidence every day that the view.
What
Oh,
evidence?
you can
What
look at-
evidence do you have that Muslims don't have?
This doesn't have anything. Okay, Muslims obviously mistreated people the way they did slavery, and this is why I've tried to talk to you about. Do you really disagree with the principle of slavery or the practice of slavery? If slavery simply means to work for someone because you're in debt, okay, well, you and I could probably agree that in principle, you shouldn't be allowed to just rack up debt and then not be obligated to pay it back. But how you pay it back could variate and change over time. But the principle of paying back what you owe someone is a moral principle, whether you agree with the practice or not.
He thinks
Now,
he's got
I would
me.
still agree that the practice matters. And I would even go as far as to say there's a very good reason why antebellum slaveholders of 200 years ago
Just waiting.
purposely kept their slaves
It's like,
illiterate.
well, when you get done
to not
talking, we're
only
going
what
to take
the
this one
Bible
and
said, but
shit all
specific
over it.
passages such as, I don't know, if you kidnap someone, you'd be put to death. If you beat someone so that they die, you'd be put to death.
But you can beat them. It's
things of
okay.
that
Just not
nature.
death.
I love when Jeff
Just
sips his
scenario.
Gatorade.
Okay,
And
sure.
you see
Yeah,
the
beat
same
him near
thing.
death.
That'd be haterade, son. That's got a hard
Say
H.
that.
It says if they die, then you are to be punished. But if they don't die, then it's okay because they are your property. That's what it says.
Yes, they are someone who is paying off debt to you.
Well, look,
And
If you owe
Can we
money
take a
to
second
somebody-
just to say how great of a God he is? Like, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Like, I woke after my 2-day beating, and and my master was spared. Like,
why
oh,
is this
man.
the best way to pay off debt?
I still
Think about what we're listening to. Hold on, guys. Think about what we're listening to right now. He is so passively trying to justify and move out of the way the fact that we got people fucking getting beat. And what the fuck Are you serious?
Well, here's the thing. So let's grant that people are going to do what they're going to do, whatever, blah, 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 right? So why in ever loving fuck would a god ever create a world in which slavery is necessary? Why the fuck did he create the world so that slavery was ever necessary to fucking begin with?
Yeah.
Nobody can answer that fucking question. No, they just say, "Oh, I'm not going to question God's decisions because he is a big boy and I have little tiny panties on." So, you know what I'm saying? It's fucking ridiculous.
But Steve, I've heard some objections where the objection is typically, well, like it's kind of like working out, like you go through the suffering, but you get this greater good out of the suffering. It's kind of the argument that I hear. But
like
my thing is, like,
salad.
wouldn't you rather live in a world where people that had to fight for like civil rights, for example, right? And in the 60s?
All right.
So, wouldn't you rather have them? It's like someone throws a grenade, right? And then someone jumps on top of it to save them. And it's like you're thanking the guy that threw the grenade so that this good could come out of it. It's just like the weirdest logic in my head. It's like, let's thank the guy that threw the grenade because, without that, the guy wouldn't have jumped on top of him and saved all of us. It's like, it's just so backwards. Like, wouldn't you rather live in a world where the guy didn't have to throw the grenade in the first place? Like, it just
How dare you
rather live in a world where Martin Luther King or other people didn't have to go through the suffering to get to where we're at? Like, this whole suffering for greater good thing is just horseshit. So it's just such a horseshit argument.
It's a human limit. The whole they like to put on their God.
Yeah, the whole suffering thing. The only reason that is there is because of a God. Period. I can't remember if it was in Romans or Corinthians where it talks about suffering causes perseverance, and perseverance hope, and hope is, and it goes down all these things that will develop. No, I don't need that. I don't need all those things for me to persevere. I don't need to suffer for me to have character. I don't need to suffer and take beatings in order for me to have high character. That's bullshit. That's a constructed. That's religiously constructed to control a mind. Period. Point blank. Fuck you.
You know what? I'll tell you what. Let me play the Christian's advocate on this one. Right?
Hit the video. Go ahead.
No, I want to hear this because I've designed better worlds in Sim City than the God created. So let's go ahead and hear Steve here.
Easily. So let's play the Christian's advocate on this one and say that, to a certain extent, suffering is good for you, and it does build character, and it does good for you in your life, and it makes you able to persevere, etc. Right? Mm-hmm. So we can compare that to weather in a sense of, like, you can appreciate the summer better if you get through winter, right? But that doesn't mean you have to fucking expose your dick inside of a tornado. Something like slavery, right?
Yeah.
You're sounding a lot like a Christian right now.
Where's that video again?
Go back to the video. I don't think owning them is the way that you get back at that, and not owning them in such a way that you can beat them anyway, touch them in any way. I don't think that's a good way. So I can just think, like, between you and I'm sure we could come up with hundreds of different ways that would be better and more just to treat these people and pay off the debt. So either God was unable, unwilling, or just finds it entertaining to watch people get beat. Or his property,
or really,
this is where you and
or doesn't exist.
Let me say this, and we'll go to the video. Or it really does come down to the abusive, manipulative, gaslighting, abusive partner that you come in a relationship with that just wants to own you and will convince you that anything and everything is okay and acceptable, as long as it means that you bow down, as long as it means that you succumb to and submit to their authority. They'll convince you that anything is real, that anything is okay. But then once you get outside of it, you're like, oh fuck. Like none of that was okay. None of that was okay. And that's what, I'll never speak for other people. For me, getting out of religion, it was like, I literally stood for a book and read a book and supported a book that supported slavery and killing babies and all that for fucking years because of the control and manipulation.
I disagree. This is why I made my recent video.
But we got to get back to what you said
yes. Oh,
about these problems being missing from the Bible to test me. So,
yeah. Well, no, that's exactly
what evidence do you have that other religions don't have?
Okay. So first of all, we know that as a general principle, slavery was more associated with what we would consider to be bond servitude. And even if you look in the definition of the dictionary for slavery, one definition that you will find is bond servitude.
Sure.
So we know that according to the evidence that we have found, not only was this a very common practice at that time, but also
That makes it okay.
I lost my train of thought here.
That makes it okay.
What
evidence do you have? Well, I'm trying to move the conversation along and give him like a bone because I've already beat him up on the slavery thing, but he just keeps coming back to it. You know, like I'm like not even talking about. I'm talking about evidence for God.
Jeff, you've been boning him all night long, so there's no point giving no bones.
Okay, that's true. Let's keep going.
Maybe
The
coming
other
from the
religions-
perspective of somebody who loves abuse as much as he does, he doesn't think it's so bad.
Maybe he's going to get something good out of this after the suffering of the phone call.
All night long.
Have to prove your specific
All night.
correct.
Well, okay, because I'm talking about because your complaint seems to be about God, and the way that He allowed things to happen. Well, last time I checked, I'm pretty sure that in the Islam religion, their God didn't tell them things like if you kidnap someone, you are to be put to death. If you beat someone so that they die, you be put to death.
Obviously, he's not read the Quran.
It's the fucking
So
same
I'm
God,
Quran-
though. It's the same fucking God.
Not the whole thing, no.
There is some stuff in there that has been spun, just like how you spin it, to justify. But where's but we were talking about evidence. So what evidence do you have that your religion is correct and it's the right path to heaven, and the other ones are wrong? Like what evidence can you show me?
Are we talking about whose religion is correct, or are we talking about the practice of slavery in the Bible?
Well, I'm past the practice of slavery. What you said was that maybe those things were left in, or these little errors are there to test my faith. That I would seek real evidence. So I'm asking you, what evidence do you have that other religions do not have?
Like I said, the ensurement that people did not act in accordance outside of being good.
What does that mean?
Okay, so this is what
we're talking about. Evidence. You said evidence.
Yes, I know. Okay, Paul Copen has researched this as well.
Say Hulk Hogan?
Check out this guy.
I don't know what he said.
Wait, hold on. Go back. Did he say Hulk Hogan? Like
tonight.
Evidence. You said evidence.
I swear he said Hulk Hogan.
Yes, I know.
Maybe you said Joe Rogan.
Okay, Paul Copen has
Hulk Hogan?
researched this as well. I can check out this guy. I actually typed him in Google here, so I have him on my tab here, so I can check him out later.
I consider Hulk Hogan the most reliable source with a torn bicep.
Well.
Into what?
And actually, there's into biblical slavery and all of this
no,
stuff.
we're past
Now,
the biblical slavery.
We're past the biblical
Bible being
slavery.
the holy word of God.
Hold on, pause it real quick.
Sure.
That's
So
great. Man. It's like you just go. We're past the slavery.
Yeah.
Demonstrated to you that he's a piece of shit. Now we're moving on to: do you have evidence for said piece of shit?
Yes.
You know, it's just
It's like, but yet he still wants to talk about. I mean, you would think that like arguing against, like, or arguing for slavery would be something that you don't want to do. So once I give you the opportunity to move on to a new subject, you'd take it and run. Nah, he keeps going back to it. He's a glutton
No,
for fun.
let me tell you something, Mean Gene. When Hulk Hogan comes with these pythons flexing on you, your God and their slavery don't know shit.
It sounds
I
like
got
he
my-
likes the beating almost as much as fucking Pastor John does.
He likes the beating, like, you know, you would beat someone for multiple days as long as they don't die.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. All right, play the video.
For example, we have the only thing that I can think of right now, because mostly I take my thoughts from listening to what other people who have researched it said. So the only piece of evidence right now that I
Appeal to
can think
authority.
of would be, I think it's the Code of Hammurabi. There's more. I don't know specifically what they are, but these are the things that historians have been talking about.
Pause.
That they have been.
Did he say Ken Hovind?
Pause. So he just referenced Dr. Josh's wheelhouse. So make sure he goes learn something.
He says he does take outside references. I think he should take another outside reference.
Tell him he should learn something other than a little Bible, because he don't know sheet.
I'd like
Roll
to
the
look
film.
At, I'd like to look at that book. I'm talking with somebody on the Old
This one?
Testament, and I'd love to read through
Come by.
that.
You come by tomorrow. You can get it in
Josh
your 2
is-
jackets that you're supposed to take.
Dr. Josh is
This is actually one of
I would
Atheist
love to read
Jesus'
that.
jackets. I'm wearing it.
I was wondering. I was like, "Is that the jacket you're getting?" Nice.
Yeah.
I can't wait to.
Yeah, you can come get it, and I'll buy another copy because I want Dr. Josh's book to be everywhere. I've also been buying copies and putting them in my well, I guess I shouldn't say this on the internet. Whatever. I keep buying books that we talk about. All of these books that we talk about, I buy multiple copies. And there's a very large Baptist church across the street from me that has probably 7 to 10 acres. And on that 7 to 10 acres, there's a nature trail that goes and walks around their property. And they have these little birdhouses that have books in them. And it's like, take a book or give a book. And I just keep shoving all these books in all those little birdhouses.
I'll trade
they're
you.
gonna say the
I'll trade
devil did
you.
it.
Cool. So what we just learned is Jeff and Mike are going to make love in a birdhouse tomorrow. So let's go ahead and into video.
And have
And then I'm going to trade him a case for Christ.
And if anybody's actually interested in having a really good gynecologist, Dr. Josh is fantastic. Just
Hell yeah.
yeah, he's fantastic.
Not that kind of doctor, Pasta.
Oh, huh?
Not that kind of doctor.
He's not that.
No.
Oh.
He's still really good at it.
He's still good at it, but
Yeah.
Hey, what you get if you combine gynecology and science?
Scientology.
No, Tom Cruise.
Wow.
Same fucking thing.
I like Tom Cruise. He's just,
Same shit. Just Pasta don't know how to rhyme. So move along.
Wackadoo.
Arguments from. So I can't specifically cite a particular piece of evidence outside of that, but if you know how history is done, people argue to the best explanation.
Well, I
given
think
the
other
evidence.
religions have made a better case with their evidence.
How?
Like, I think Muslims have a better case than you. You're talking about a piece of documentation backing up your book when they claim that they have the original and you don't have the originals to yours.
Right. They have the original, even though their religion came 500 years after Islam. That's a great case to make for Islam. Yeah.
1,500 years old, they still have the original.
Is he getting snippy with
Christianity
you?
does not have its original documents for the Gospels.
Right, because the way things were made over
Or their God
500
is
years
more
after
powerful.
Islam came into existence, documents weren't designed to last that long. But all the documents
We have,
that we do
whoa,
have
hold
that
on,
were-
wait. We got the Dead Sea Scrolls.
I was just about to say that.
Sure.
That's Old Testament.
Yeah.
Gospels are New Testament. That's newer. So how could we have something older if documents weren't designed to last that long? That sounds like a human limitation that your God was either unable or unwilling to overcome.
Your God just sucks.
Okay, and who are you gonna believe more? The guy who had a private
Got it.
revelation where he could have just made anything up, or are you gonna follow people who actually have peers around and the work of Jesus can actually be criticized? And
We don't
things
have
that
those
he taught?
documents.
Yes, you do.
What document do we have?
They have the Gospels. People who
We don't
actually
have the original
wrote Gospels.
Gospels.
Oh,
They're
We don't have the
unauthored,
Original Gospels.
and known forgeries are involved. Things were adjusted and changed hundreds of years later.
Take a pause.
There were 2
Why were they
councils in
changed
year.
hundreds-
you don't even know who wrote the fucking Gospels.
Yeah.
This is you all seen the South Park with the human centipede, where they hit accept before they read it. Like, you didn't read it.
Yep.
Like, why would you? This is what's always blown my mind about religious people that are young, that haven't done enough research on their subject matter.
Well,
For me,
especially
it's very important.
especially so when you start to understand market priority and you start to understand how it's built, and you start to go into these things like Q source and all these things where people make these kind of I call it Q source like an excuse. You start to see like more issues. Like you'll see basically they have like this double tradition within Luke and Mark, and then a lot of people, how did they get this? And essentially the idea is, well, there's this anonymous source, Q source, but you can literally look at like different passages like Mark 14, 65, where I think these soldiers strike Jesus down and they go prophesy. And that's all it says in Mark. But in Matthew and Luke, they add like 5 words to it. Who is it that hits you? And so you can build off of like, and Pasta always makes fun of me for this, but you can build off of like this docile reproduction or editorial fatigue and see literally how it was built throughout time. And so it's like, it's not even just the fact that we see these errors. We can literally get a like linear structure on how this was this.
You can see too. You can see the documents, and you can see the scribes' notations on the margins about errors that they're correcting from a previous copy because the copy was shitty. And then they make their own errors, that are then passed on to another scribe to come in and correct those errors. It's a very inefficient way to transmit a document.
Well, the main
Maybe
thing
running a train on that Bible.
Well, the main thing I wanted to say with that was that, like, the people that follow these things, like Q source, for example, or something, Q source is said to not have a passion narrative. So when you take those 2 examples for a second, or for example, you're going to go, okay, well, maybe they do overlap in some ways. And the people that are like studying this in terms of New Testament studies to that level start making these contradictions, even when they're so versed in this, because now they start to ignore, well, our whole theory is that Q source doesn't have a passion narrative. So now if we say there's an overlap, now Q source has a passion narrative. And so now you have like all these issues that they present that are so obvious when you don't even have to be an expert. You can literally just look at their argument and see the inconsistencies within it. And so it's like, it doesn't even matter from the level like where David's speaking. It's like all the way up to the highest level of even scholars, that guys like Dr. Mark Goodacre and Bart Ehrman and these guys have just constantly pointed out like how easy this is, to see. But
when did I ever say anything about apes?
Are we the byproduct of apes who evolved to have the capacity to talk?
What?
Real quick, along with what Mike was saying there, it needs to be a bullet point on this, or maybe an exclamation point.
How about a pin?
All the time.
Could you put a pin in it?
Just fucking pin it. I don't give a fuck what we put in it. Just fucking do it. I ask Christians all the time, well, who wrote the Gospels? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And they're like, oh, well, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John wrote them. Play the fucking video, dumbass.
There never could have been a time in the past where snakes had the ability to talk, but you're going to special please humans out of the picture because we're no different, because we're technically talking apes according to atheists or atheism.
I'm not making any of those claims. Atheism doesn't make any of those claims. That's just a straight straw man.
Okay,
when did I ever say anything about apes?
Are we the byproduct of apes who evolved to have the capacity to talk?
No.
Okay, what are we then?
We have a common ancestor. What do you think evolution is? Like, what do you know of evolution? I'm interested to know.
I don't know because no one can tell me a straight answer about what evolution is.
I just told you we have a common ancestor. We're not talking apes. We're primates.
Sure.
Sure. That's not debatable. What do you think evolution is? I'm sorry to offset this, but I'm just curious about how you understand evolution.
Well, it depends on what theory, I guess, you use. There's the Darwinian model. I don't know the names. I do believe in evolution in some
sure.
sense.
So why do you believe that there's a possibility of talking
in some
snakes?
sense, he says?
Because according to some models, I don't know which one you subscribe to, we are technically talking apes, according to who you ask.
Who says this?
Well, no one specifically comes to mind, but this is what.
I think
so
Jeeves
if we're not
told
talking
them.
apes, what are we? If we're not apes, what are we?
How does that prove talking snakes? Snakes can't talk.
Because
they don't have vocal cords.
Because you're saying that it is absurd for at some point in the past that we can't verify based on our technology, to say that it's not even possible for at some point for there to have ever been a time where snakes gained the ability to speak, yet we are supposedly, depending on who you ask, an evolutionary chain of a single-celled organism that over time changed and
You can't
gained
make
the
this stuff
ability
up.
to speak. And yet that's totally fine. But once we start talking, okay, so I'm trying to just be rhetorical here for a second to show
Hold on.
that
Can we stop? Can we pause right there?
for some reason it's
Can we pause? Can we pause, please? I just want to point out that the Christian just literally tried to elicit the fact that there might have been a talking serpent, a talking reptile,
In a literal sense.
in a literal sense, like
Yeah.
it might have actually.
And the evidence is because I don't know for 100%. I don't know that snakes didn't evolve to have vocal cords and speak to people previously in history. Did you ever see that?
Oh, this is gold. This is gold.
What was the I can't remember how am I not Charles Darwin when he's debating was it Charles Darwin debating some Islamic scholar or something, and the guy's like something flying horse, and he's like, well, obviously it's absurd that there's a flying horse traveling to heaven, and the guy's like, can you prove that there wasn't a flying horse? And he's just like, can I prove that there's not a flying horse that flies to heaven? It's like the same thing. It's like, what? Why would I need to prove that? It's completely absurd to think it in the first place. So why do I need to somehow magically prove that snakes don't talk, other than the fact that there's no fucking evidence that snakes can talk, and it's an absurd thought to have.
And that's what I've told people. I've owned three reptiles, three snakes, and they've never fucking said a word to me.
Can you make your snake talk?
Well, it's funny. It's funny because you can use the snakes to show them. You could use the snake and be like, well, actually, it's funny we're talking about a snake because we can show common ancestry with the vestigial structures that they have.
They don't know what that word
And so,
means.
like, it's like, look at, well, I mean, and that's the time that you give them the lesson.
Well, then it's also like when you look
know.
at and I'm by no means an evolutionary biologist. None of us are. But I can look at it from a,
one day
skeptic perspective, and my questions have been answered to my satisfaction. It is not a family tree like you would expect to see. It's not this kind of linear path with animals. It's different, and so it is more difficult to understand, and it does take a little bit of effort in reading.
Yeah, it does, especially in terms of like primatology and those kinds of things. Which so I like my study. What I hope to get a bachelor's in if I don't fail. Obviously, I never get
I'm
it.
a snake.
It's computational biology, but it's like I've morphed into learning a little bit more about primatology just because creationists and things like that that have these conversations. But
It's a good refutation.
well, dude,
sure.
it's insane because people don't really realize like how much we use to determine these in taxonomy, like mammary glands, hair, diaphragm, whether or not you have 3 middle ear ossicles, sweat glands, those kind of or even
So,
just,
Mike,
molecular homology. So it's like
all right.
you can
Mike,
literally
put your Christian hat on.
All right.
Okay, put your Christian hat on.
Hold on,
Oz
guys.
still has his Christian hat. Look at that goddamn hat. It's a MAGA hat, actually.
No, the fuck it's not.
It looks
Hey,
like
by
a
the way-
helmet. It's a helmet.
Nathaniel Dog in the chat. Nathaniel Dog. Is anybody familiar with Nathaniel Dog from TikTok?
Nate Dogg.
Is it Nate Dogg? I'm sorry. He dresses up as Harold Carey from time to time. Well, that gentleman.
Hey,
Him. He keeps DMing me high definition 4K images of his talking snake, and I'm very, very taken aback by it, to be honest with you.
and he's actually sent me a couple of high definition videos of him performing a deep dive on Oz.
Very deep. It's so
I mean, 4K
deep.
or deep. HD.
I don't understand how deep it goes.
Anyway, Mike.
Anyhow.
put on your Christian hat. I want you to use your brain as a Christian now, and explain to me, from a creation standpoint, why men have nipples.
from a creation standpoint.
Yes.
Ooh. I mean, I could just say God just wanted nipple. Just he was made in our image, and God has nipples. I mean, I guess that's how easy of a criteria I have as a creationist. So I could go with that. I could go with
what's the purpose of nipples for men?
For practice.
I would say clamps.
Okay. Anyway, back to the video.
It's absurd for us to be able to speak, even though we're technically just animals. But snakes are also just animals, according to most atheists. And yet, if talking snakes ever existed, that's an absurd claim. Now, I don't think that I don't personally think that. I'm just pointing out the irony here.
I don't see the irony. We know that snakes can't talk.
Now, yeah.
No, ever. There's no evidence to support a talking snake.
How would you how would you go back in time and find out if whether or not snakes
talk? No. See, you're trying to prove a negative. That's like you saying, well, I could just say, well, snakes used to be able to fly, and they could do high level algebra. Prove me wrong.
Okay, the evidence of talking snakes in the past.
Evolution is real. Prove me wrong.
Depending on who you ask.
So they could do high level algebra as well?
Maybe.
They could drive
now,
cars?
If you ignore the Bible, which would be historical evidence, then of course, yeah. Nothing in the past of any ancient document supports the notion that snakes could do algebra. But if the Bible is true, then in some way it is possible, if you accept the Bible as evidence, that at some point perhaps there was at least
Bible's a claim, snake. Not evidence.
Did that snake have legs?
Maybe.
Then would it be a centipede?
Legs.
Well, no. Be more of like a lizard of some kind. Now, okay, so I don't specifically know if the snake was meant to be metaphorical or whatever, because if you look at when and where this passage was
written, we pause, bro, just
it was
real
actually
fast.
Written in the time when Moses.
I think it's funny that within because I went to my parents' house and I was raking leaves for them, and I was like, I'm gonna throw on Old Testament. Pop that right in my ears, and I got to that part, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, God is already messed up. Why is he allowed, if you take the serpent to be Satan, whether I've heard some Christians say they don't, but if you do, it's like within 3 seconds, he's already let like the worst character into this place.
He fucked up.
It's like, I mean, it's just, this guy cannot get it right. He can't, I would have probably made it, serpent proof or something,
Again, we've made better cities in Sim City.
Well, and him, the God of the Bible,
he's not going to control my traffic.
A psychopathic, narcissistic asshole has already told people, what I know you don't know the difference between right and wrong, but I'm going to tell you, don't do this, even though you don't know to not do that. And if you do that, then I'm going to condemn you and everybody else that comes after you to go burn in hell. That's what fucked up.
I love that.
Fuck you.
I love that argument.
That's my favorite.
How the hell could Eve have known that it was wrong to eat the fruit?
Because God said so.
If she couldn't know the difference between what is right and wrong until after having eaten that fruit.
He said, "Don't."
It doesn't matter.
That means nothing.
She couldn't have known that God's word meant
anything but God said
it doesn't matter.
God didn't know. It doesn't matter. Jeff, roll the video. Shut the fuck up. Roll the video.
She doesn't have knowledge until she eats.
Go read. Guys, go read Genesis again, because it's very strange. But like, I'm literally in my yard raking, and all I can think of as it's being read is like, these two people are just spawned here, kind of like a video game, and then they're just kind of like accepting the fact that this thing is like, exactly.
How about putting?
They're just accepting that, like, oh, this guy made us, and we're just walking around this place, and now this other thing. It's like it's the most. I couldn't get over. I was like, people believe. Like, I'm at like 5 sentences in, and I'm already going like, well, I mean, I guess this is what 629 is the flood. That's when he kills everybody. So yeah, the second chapter, and I'm already sitting there going like, how are people? Oh my god! Like,
I love the part where they hide from God as if he can't find
And then
them,
he can't
and then he
find
goes searching for them
Yeah.
and shit.
So, Mike,
and then,
let me ask
and
you
then-
this.
Yeah, exactly.
and all of a sudden, Adam's like, "Hold on, God, I'm hiding my snake. I'm
Yeah.
hiding my snake."
My talking snake.
And then
Like-
they do the same thing with Noah when they're on the boat. Like I guess Noah's like getting drunk as shit, before like all the flood.
Oh
happened.
yeah, I forgot about that part.
And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
and then his sons come in and they're like, "Oh, dude, his dick's out," so they have to like cover him up and stuff. And then he wakes up and he's just like, "Oh man, they saw my dick," and it's just like the weirdest thing. And then you fast forward to chapter, Genesis 38, and then all of a sudden God is killing a person for spilling his seed on the floor. And it's just,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like raking leaves, like crying, laughing, and there's just people walking by like waving, and I'm just like, this is what you believe in. This is ridiculous.
So J Mike, you're
and they
you're
were like
making
900
you
years
got the
old.
Garden of Eden going, right? So you're building the Garden of Eden. And you're gonna put the tree. You're like, all right, cool. I got this is all set. I got the animals, I got the trees out, I got all that stuff. Now I need to put the tree of knowledge. Okay. Where are you gonna put it?
If I'm God,
Yeah, so where do you put the tree
Right in
of the
goddamn
knowledge
middle.
of good and evil?
if I don't want them to take it, I'd probably put it on a different planet so that they can't access it.
That's smart. I would put it on the moon so they could see it and they can know it's real, but they can't actually get to it. Therefore, they can't fuck it up.
Yeah, it's
Or we could just, I don't know, make it very scrumptious looking fruit and put it in the fucking garden next to the people that aren't supposed to touch it.
Right, that would be awesome. And guys, real quick before we hit play on the video, I want to make sure we have a bunch of really badass, like faithful, like really cool people in the chat that we need to shout out because they showed up on a late night feed out of nowhere tonight.
Oh yeah.
So first of all, IQ, what's up? What's up? No Hair Mama Bear, this Nathaniel Pussycat, Nathaniel Pussy Cat, something like that. Georgie, what's up? The Kurdish, the Blazing Wizard, and I can't hear the music in my ear, so hopefully I'm not talking too loud. Secular Parents, glad you're here. Oh, the old Grumpy, the Grumpster's here. Let's see, anybody else that I haven't mentioned? And if I missed you, I'm sorry. Oh, Atheist Chico, you don't even know. Like I got bars for days ready for your episode tomorrow. I hope you're ready because your shit's about to get lit. Klaus Balder, and that's it for now. Thank you guys. And guys, the super chats are there.
Well,
And
actually, what
we will
language
do
do
a
you
Q&A. We will do a Q&A at the end, and you can ask us anything. It doesn't have to be religion. It can be anything. Ask us anything at the end. So super chats are there, and the only way the only way your question gets answered is if it's a super chat form. So proceed.
I think Austin has actually done cocaine.
I do cocaine all the time.
Understood by the human beings at that time.
Do you? Why do you think men have nipples?
I'm not sure how that's relevant to what we're talking about.
Well, it's just if we're designed by God. I'm just wondering what the purpose of male nipples are.
That's a good question, actually. I have no idea.
So, how old do you think Noah was?
I don't know.
Because the Bible says 950.
I was gonna say 900. Right?
949. That's it.
I think that's
950 is pushing it.
Yeah.
949 ish.
if creation existed.
I mean, I wonder how, like,
Noah,
wrinkly his
and
balls
the
are.
world was
That's what I was thinking.
more pure than it is today. Since the
What does
world
that
is
mean? More
decaying,
pure.
As wrinkly as everything
It
else.
means that it was newer.
So, what
Do you
does
think
that
he's
mean?
using an osteobiflex at that?
Things
When he
were
hits
less,
800?
you could say corrupted or
Dude,
whatever
you
wanna
got.
call
I
it.
mean, you got to think hitting just
And we
150
had
has to be.
evidence of
People get hip replacements at
human
60.
beings
What do you do at
existing, like
600? Where's this
with
evidence?
David and Goliath.
Where's this
historical-
evidence
I don't-
of huge human
They
beings?
found skeletons.
It's got to be on like a
Okay.
chondroitin supplement.
Mike, you know where he's going, right? He said we have evidence of huge.
Yeah,
human
I'm
beings.
sorry. I just had a random thought, real quick. So he lives to 950, yet we'll live to like whatever. Did God just? He basically implemented after all these 950 years Alzheimer, other brain
Heart disease.
You get this like he's Oprah, but those guys get to go 950 years and then just die without having any of that dementia or Alzheimer's. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking in my head like, what a dick. But anyway,
Well, just like
Apologists
joints,
would
like
say
your
that it
joints
was-
don't last that long.
A lot of apologists will say that it's our decision to sin that caused those issues,
It's actually because they used to measure it in dog years.
or lunar years.
Yeah,
By
because
the moon.
actually the Earth moved faster back then around the sun.
Yes. Yep.
So that's how.
Before
Where?
People, I don't have the source on hand right now.
Well, if you don't, then I don't think it's true.
Pulled it up.
I mean, are you talking about like
Okay.
Vikings, like 6'8" people, or are you talking like 20-foot tall people?
I'm talking about like David and Goliath type of.
Okay, so
skeletons.
where I would love find that reference. I would love to investigate that claim.
Okay, I'll get that. I'll get that one for you. I don't have it. on
He
hand
did send
right
it to
now.
me later, and it was what you
Talking
think,
about
J.
this,
Mike.
But that's.
I mean,
fine.
that's quite a miraculous thing to know. I would love to see
Yeah.
that reference. It might convince me. It won't. Doesn't.
Okay. Well, so hold on. So what? You're going all over the place, and I'm trying to just.
Oh, a cats. I'm aware.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure out what we're
I'm
talking
trying to get
about
in there.
so we can stay on track and not get
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
distracted by-
Yeah. Sorry. Let's go. We were talking
No,
about
I'm just-
snakes.
No, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so first of all, the evidence of the Bible, first of all, says, so there's two interpretations. The first one, because we know that if angels and demons exist, they have the ability to shapeshift, essentially.
Jeff, just treating it like a
Because the Bible
tart
says that
show.
they can take on any form.
If magic exists,
So,
they can do
first of
whatever they
all,
want. Well,
when
duh.
talking snake,
Yeah.
then it probably would have been a demon, which was Satan. I know you don't believe in that, but I'm just telling you what the Bible says. Second interpretation that I was telling you about was that the snake, in writing the story of Genesis, was actually meant to be more metaphoric because it was written in Egypt. And this matters because, as you know, different religions that, well, maybe you don't know, but different religions at that time were kind of competing with one another. And some people think that this part of the account of Genesis was meant to be metaphoric because the god of Egypt, or the symbol, you could call it, that represented power or a godlike status was that of a serpent. And so it's possible that the serpent in Genesis, they were actually basically saying that your God is the devil. Your God is, yes, what caused Adam and Eve to stumble. But again, if you look at what God says that he will strike his heel and but he will crush his head. So it could also be the fact that perhaps it wasn't necessarily a talking snake, but some kind of being. And the snake was meant to be metaphoric to represent their God, to show that they worship the devil and that their God is going to essentially overall
Okay.
be destroyed
Demonstrate
by
that other being.
true God. Now, it doesn't matter which side you take because they both work. Now, if we want to be accurate, sure it matters. I'm just saying that whichever position you take, nothing contradicts what the Bible says.
Pause it.
And if you're talking about
Wait, what?
So if he's gonna use this is the thing that really kind of bugs me about the metaphorical kind of argument. When you allow yourself to have poetic language with something that's supposed to be like an empirical claim, then you can like dance and make it do whatever you want. When I was on Neil the 604 Atheist Show, I actually mentioned, I was like, Steve puts it the best way. And I think it's something you told me that Dillahunty said.
Yeah, I stole that
what-
shit straight from Dillahunt.
Yeah, I was like, I know you said it was from someone, but language is our bitch. You can really do whatever you want with it in that sense. And I think when you allow yourself, now it's metaphorical. Now every bit of the falsification criterion just goes out the door, right? Because now
Magic.
all you're doing with this falsification criterion is widening it until it's like essentially you can't even tell if it's there because you've now allowed anything to kind of get in. And when you allow one thing to say, well, it's metaphorical, it's like now anything can be metaphorical because
I love when they say "what if." Like, well, what if? Like, no. Don't say "what if." Why don't you think like you need to know what that is, man? Like, this is your book. This is your livelihood. Why are you giving it up to a "what if"?
What
we
if
could do
what
what
if
if we're both non-Christians debating, the context of the Bible in a human sense.
what if a leopard skinned rabbit from Mars ejaculated Earth?
Well, that's a Richard Madsen theory, honestly.
What
so.
if it's all
What?
fucking made up?
Is that like literally a
No,
rabbit? Oh.
every time I talk to him, he is.
Nothing contradicts what the Bible says.
with regards to those two positions, regardless of which one you go with, neither one of them conflicts. In fact, they could even both be true. The Bible is a book of poetry in some instances, and I don't know if are you familiar with what is called? It's a grammatical term. It's called a double entendre. Have you heard of that before?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like when
I took high
Jesus was
school
asked, "Are you
English.
the Christ, the Son of God," by Pilate, he said, "I am." He was both answering the question and, of course, directly quoting who God said that he was in the Old Testament. Yes, so they could both be true as well, and you would expect this kind of thing from a God who is the author of language, for example. So I'm just saying,
I would
I'm not even saying
expect
that either
the author of
I would
confusion
expect
a book that's much more clear and maybe communicates in better ways than double entendres in poetry, because that's not how I would communicate the most dire of messages to a loving person. If I loved you and I wanted to give you a message that would save your life, I would not send you poetry.
Right. Okay. Yeah. This is why I told you that your understanding in the gospel is what first and foremost matters. Okay. I can tell you that right now, Jeff. It's not that hard. Okay. The message of dire importance is that you and me and everyone else in the world has sinned, which is that we have broken God's law. We have separated ourselves from Him.
Bad start.
No, it's not.
It's not. Sin's good.
That's what it. Well,
God made us all evil, so fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. We're already,
You think you're
we're
good?
already being told that we're inferior.
Jeff. So there's people coming to your house right now, and they want to attack you. They want to hurt you.
Okay.
Actually, there's a lot of
Well,
them.
let's reverse back. I'm going to write you Shakespeare instead and give you that exact message that I gave you before, but in some flowery language that's metaphorical, and I'm going to use a bird as the example. The bird, the hawk is coming for you, and you're the worm, right? I'm just going to make some weird thing that you can interpret it in anything, and that's how I'm going to let you know that people are on their way to hurt you.
And you're gonna mail it to me rather than text it to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Luckily,
and I'm not.
Luckily, J Mike, every time I go
that I spoke.
Say J Mike. Luckily, every time I go bird watching, I keep a gun with me, so I should be all right.
Yeah.
The example I use is about cancer, and I think I'm going to get into it. I can't remember, but if I don't, I'll repeat it. But I'm gonna let it go and see if it shows up.
Okay,
It's almost
break
like
the
a
law.
abusive relationship. Oh wait, I got an abusive. I'm going to go into abusive relationships. So I don't know if I go over the cancer thing, but I'll come back to it if we need to. Yeah, it follows the same. If you go on, you can go on Google, since you're on Google, and look up like signs to look for to know you're in an abusive relationship. And it's very similar to what you're about to describe. Let me look it up.
If someone is suffering from narcissism and they're not aware that they're suffering from narcissism because they are
like God is a big narcissist.
Is it bad of me to tell you? Is it not the most loving thing that I can do to tell you that you're suffering from narcissism and that you need to turn from your ways?
Or I'll kill you. Let me just read this for you. This is some signs of an abusive relationship.
Okay.
Your partner tries to control your behavior. Your partner threatens to harm you. Hell. Or people you love. Everyone you know. Scared of your partner. So that would be, tries to control your behavior. That would be the 10 Commandments or all the laws. Threatens to harm you and people you love. That would be threats of hell. You're scared of your partner. You're commonly told to be a God-fearing person. They check with you all the time to see where you are, what you're doing, and who you're with. Well, God can watch you all the time. They control where you go and who you see and get angry if you don't do what they say. Sounds a lot like a God.
Dude, pause. Hold on. just give Jeff like a little round of applause for a second? Like, good job, sir. Good job. Like, this is just like I'd shake Dr. Handshake you through the screen if I could, but continue.
We can make out later. They accuse you of being unfaithful, testing you. They isolate you from your family and friends. They put you down, either publicly or privately, by attacking you. They constantly compare you to unfavorably. They blame you for all the problems. And they say things like, no one else will want you. Sounds a lot like a Christian relationship with God.
I want to
So
see.
if
Leave
someone
me,
commits
you are
murder-
damned forever. You're a bad person and don't realize it, and I will be here to help you, but only if you worship me. I'm just saying, it lines up with the key signs of an abusive relationship. It makes
Sure,
you be,
that's how-
it tells you
yeah,
that
that's
you're
what-
unworthy. And I just don't think that's a mentally health way to live your life, thinking you're unworthy. I didn't sin. I didn't do these things at the very beginning of the Bible. I didn't eat the apple. I didn't ask to be
Whoa,
born.
Hold on. I know. I'm not even accusing you of that. Where in the Bible does it say that you're punished for eating the apple like Adam and Eve?
We have original sin.
He didn't.
Yeah,
He didn't go over any of those points.
Oh,
He didn't go over any of those points. He just went straight to that other thing, which I just wanted to point that out. So
Well, of course.
So here's where he fucked up. There is no purpose for Jesus dying or Jesus's existence if there is no original sin.
Secondly,
So Christianity
this is exactly
debunked.
what you're told. And I know Austin knows this because we were like this. We were told these things. We were unworthy of anything. If you were killed instantly right now and God deemed it so, that was a good thing. That was what God wanted to do, and it is what it is. He can do whatever he wants, and it's good. You're lucky to be alive, that he allowed you to have this life. And if you don't worship him and you go to hell, well, you deserved it. It's an abusive relationship, and it really does cause a lot of harm mentally to people to live like that. I mean, you wouldn't want someone to, if you knew somebody that came to you and said, hey, there's this guy, he's doing these things to me, and he listed off all that list, you'd be like, you got to get out of that. Like, we got to get you help immediately to get away from this person. But that's not what you're told. You know?
Yeah, it's disgusting. Like an actual, real life abusive relationship. It's like you hear it, unfortunately, from the party that's being abused is, well, this person does it because they love me,
Right.
they beat me, or they
Scare me.
make these offenses, or they scare me or intimidate me or control me because they want to protect me and keep me safe and all those things. It is exactly what it sounds like. Abuse. It is exactly what it sounds like.
Yes, we have the introduction.
So I'm
of
born
sin
into
the
sin.
world.
I'm born unworthy.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say you are
That's what the
born
Bible
into
says.
a world that you are heavily influenced by sin. And because you are heavily influenced by sin, at some point, you will consciously and willingly choose to violate your conscience that you know you ought not to do. No one's
Like
forcing
slavery.
you to make that decision. No,
Like owning another person.
no. Okay, well, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about now, Jeff. Okay.
Oh, no,
here's-
no, now
here's
we want
what
to skip.
Saw in Genesis, God told Adam and Eve, "You may eat."
I like what
of any of the
K-Neb's
tree,
here because she was
but
talking
you
about
must not eat of
childbirth,
the
and I
tree of
forgot
the
about
knowledge of
that.
Good and evil, for the day that you eat
I'm
of it,
glad she
you will
reminded me.
die.
And then he
Now,
put
of
then he
course-
put the tree in the middle of the garden.
Okay, yes, because this is
It's like
evidence
he
that
was
free will
he was
is
actively
fixed.
tempting them. He put it right there where they could get it. He didn't put it on the other side of the planet. He put it right there.
Hold on, does it say that he put it in the middle of the garden? I don't remember.
In the midst
It's
of the garden is what it
What do you
says.
mean you don't remember? Hold on. What do you call
also
yourself a
accessible.
Christian? You call yourself a Christian apologist, and you don't remember where the fuck your God put his fucking tree?
It's like
Come on,
chapter
man.
2 or something. It's in the midst of the garden.
Austin, why are you so angry? Where's the anger coming from? Like an angry.
Man.
Dude, what's
Because
wrong? You
when
want
I
to
hear
go
that,
outside for a
that's
minute?
absurd.
He's an angry
I already did.
atheist.
You're doing it.
I already
The
did.
angry
Austin, do
atheist.
you need to go outside for a minute?
I already
Do you
did.
need a pee break?
I actually, I've never really been that angry as an atheist. I think I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah, I think I
Angry
might.
atheism is
Let's
good.
good.
I want to be angry about it.
Let's change the show.
Fucking-
Let's go.
Fucking stupid religion and shit.
Angry atheist assholes. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna
And
try
it's
it.
also fruity and
Yo.
scrumptious. So of course they're attracted to it.
Oh yeah.
So
I know.
he's tempting
Been
them
very
on purpose. And
No,
how do
he's
they?
not-
How
he's
are?
not
How is she
tempting.
supposed to know? How is she supposed to know it's wrong?
And no, hold
How
on.
are they
Pause it.
supposed to know what's wrong?
Pause it. Hold on. I just want to say, I'm going to use the lame excuse Christians use. It's not angry. It's justified. It's justified anger. Go ahead.
Wait.
Yeah, they don't
real
have
quick,
the-
real quick. I want to give a shout out to Nate Dogg, Philosophic Plumber, and Neil Geo Sam and Neil the 604 Atheist that just came in. So I just saw the comment thing. I didn't realize I could click it. I forgot, and I just saw them. So what's up? But yeah, continue.
Mike,
Absolutely.
Mike.
Knowledge of
You're at
good
home,
and-
brother. Feel free to do what you want, cuz.
Yeah, no,
and
I know.
evil
That's why
until
I
they
did.
eat the fruit. How would they know it's wrong?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Let me see if I can explain this concept to you. I know that this can be difficult to understand. Right. Okay. So I'm trying to think of. Okay. So let's say that you have a child. I don't have a child, so I know this might be difficult for you to relate to in some senses. But just maybe try and picture yourself being the kid in this scenario, and that God is your parent or whatever. Okay. Let's say that your parent tells you, "Hey, I don't want you browsing on the internet without my permission or whatever, or without me being there." Right, because you know that there are certain things on the internet that you don't want your child to see, so graphic things that you don't want them to see, maybe until they're ready or whatever the case may be.
My girlfriend
So,
got called into
if
work,
your
and so she had
child
just made it back.
disobeyed
Did you shake it?
and did that, and they came across something, let's say it was
Did
a
you
first
shake it?
scene of, I don't know, they typed in whatever, and they got a video that came up that showed, someone being horribly brutalized or whatever the case may be.
Well, what if they just
Do-
looked
do
up,
they-
what if they just wanted knowledge, and so they were just looking up Wikipedia?
Well, obviously that's fine. I'm just saying, like, let's say
Well,
that
that's
within a
all that we
certain-
got from the knowledge of good and evil was just knowledge. So what's wrong with that?
Nothing. It says, okay.
Well, then it's good.
It's the tree. It's okay. It's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah, why is that bad? Why don't we want the knowledge of good and evil?
Because with the knowledge of good and evil comes the temptation to want to be your own God. To separate
Okay, well, how?
yourself
So
from
they
God.
didn't. So they didn't have that before they ate.
Yes,
So then, how did they know it was wrong?
because God told them.
Well, yeah, but
they
they don't
knew
have the
cog-
knowledge
they-
of good and evil yet. How do they know it's wrong?
Okay, so the knowledge of good and evil is probably something more along the lines of
Well, were you guessing
being
about
able
this?
to differentiate. Well, I'm speculating. I'm philosophizing here. Okay, inference is the best explanation, right? Okay, so obviously, yes, Adam and
Probably
Eve
not
did not
a
have direct
cosmic
knowledge of good and
rejection.
evil, and technically, knowledge means to have direct cognition of, in some, depending on which definition you use.
I'm actually
So they
reading
knew
Genesis here.
That what God
That's what
told
I'm
them
looking
was
down at.
good, even though they didn't fully have an understanding of evil. They hadn't experienced it, you could say, right? So when they sinned, they were able to make the distinction between disobedience and obedience directly. That's why they hid after they sinned,
And God couldn't find
and
him.
that's why they covered themselves up.
And God couldn't find him.
No, he could,
Well, then why did he say, I can't find you?
because he was pointing to their hearts.
To their hearts?
Yes.
What does that
so,
mean?
Okay, so what happened in the, okay, I'll explain. So what happened in the Garden of Eden with what God said, there's actually, in modern day, there's actually a thing in debate saying don't ask questions that you don't know the answer to. Now, the reason why you're asking the question isn't because you don't know, it's because you do know, and you're going to see what your opponent is going to say to your question to see if they know. what you're talking about. So this seems to resonate. Obviously, we know that God knows everything. He's not asking because he doesn't know.
Well, he
He's
didn't know.
asking because no, he did.
He said, "Where art thou?"
Yeah. I just explained that.
Well, no, he didn't know where they were at. That's how I'm explaining it.
We also didn't know about.
I'm
Okay, he
explaining
didn't know
how
where
it's
they're
written.
You also didn't know with Cain and Abel, right? I mean, didn't
Yeah.
he? Wasn't he inquiring about that as well, like right afterwards? By the way, where did Cain and Abel, like, where did they go find wives? Like, how are there other people in the other towns? Did I must have missed something, because all of a sudden, like, nope.
Mike, we all missed something. We all missed something there.
I've
There's, like,
heard.
no other people. Let's go to the next town and go marry somebody. It's like, what? Okay.
Did you ever
I
see that
heard an
really bad
argument.
movie from Jack Black and Michael Cera called Year One?
Mhm.
Did you go watch that one, Mike? Come over. We'll make out. I'll give you these jackets. We'll watch the movie. It'll be great.
Yeah. Wait. You're gonna give me that jacket though, right?
Yeah, you can have the jackets.
All right, cool. That's all I
They
care.
don't. Do you not see this jacket on me right now? It's comically small. Look,
What are you trying to say?
it's your
Jacket has been
I'm a
sullied.
little
It does-
chunky around
it-
it.
it-
Doesn't
It does look really good on me. I do have to say.
it looks good when I sit down and let it stay open.
That's what she said.
Okay, back to the video.
He was asking them to point to their heart to show them that they knew that they were hiding. Were Adam and Eve hiding from God before they sinned?
I don't know.
Okay, they weren't.
It's not written,
Because
but,
they didn't
but,
have- they-
but
they-
just
they
like your
didn't have-
snake, we don't know. They had the ability to hide, so it's possible they did. I don't know. Could snakes
Okay,
talk?
but-
Maybe. I don't know.
Why would they have a need to hide from God before?
Maybe hide and seek.
Maybe because they told
Sure,
him that
that
if you eat
existed.
from a tree, you're gonna die. I mean, that's a good reason. Why.
And then they didn't die, mind you.
yeah.
Right. They didn't die, and still nobody told them the difference between right and wrong, good and evil. Like there's no.
It's really fucked up. It's just like,
Yeah.
why set this in motion? You know it's going to crumble and fall in front of you, and then you just do a terrible job of rolling it out.
And
And he
each
knows
ti-
everything that's going to happen, so he literally knew exactly how it was all going to happen, which is
Right.
weird
What
that he
a
couldn't
dick.
find them because he knew where they were going to be.
and I do, coming from a background in Christianity, and the more conversations that I'm a part of like this, and we go through this, it's like, how can
Yeah.
you continue to read and reread and read and reread this, and eventually, it took me 30 years, so I'm not, I'm not like trying to say everybody's stupid, but it took me 30 years. But how can you read, reread, reread, and not finally, like, the buzzer goes off? It's like, oh shit.
Because they be
Maybe-
sipping that Jesus juice.
So
Oh, I forgot about that, Steve. My
Why in
bad.
this
My
case
bad.
would God ask them that then? If
Because he
they're
couldn't
playing
find
hide
him.
and seek, do you
He
do
was
you
super
expect someone-
surprised that he ate the fruit of the tree that he placed in the center of the Garden of Eden and allowed Satan, the serpent, to tempt them. And then he was super surprised that they actually ate the fruit. And in order to punish me for that and punish women for that, they now had to be childbearers. So now women have to bear children because of what Eve did.
Right, and it says that, but she will be. I don't remember the exact wording. She will be saved through childbearing. That the implication was that
That's
through
in
the
1
person
Timothy
of
chapter
Jesus
2.
Christ. Huh?
It's in 1 Timothy chapter 2, what
Okay.
you're talking about,
You want me to- I
11
can-
through 14.
Okay.
I love it when the atheist knows the scripture better than the Christian.
Okay. 1 Timothy 2. I'm typing it in right now. Sorry, I'm trying to do this. with
1
one
Timothy
hand.
2, 11 through 14. I think it's actually verse 14 that says that she shall be saved through childbearing.
Pastor
You can
Jeff.
give them the verse,
You know,
and
do you follow Martin Luther? You know who Martin Luther is, right?
you can give them the verse and say it
You know what Martin Luther
verbatim,
said
and
about
then they
childbearing?
won't believe you that that's verbatim or in context.
He said that
it's
if
like
a
you
woman
didn't know the
dies
fucking
in
verse.
childbearing,
I
It
did.
matters not.
I feel like that. quote is
Did
out
we
of context.
did we skip over the fact that in Genesis 3 you actually get the whole I will make your pains in childbearing very severe.
Yeah, it's a fantastic thing. I think that's
Yeah.
why I have such like a bad upset gut. It's just punishment.
Yeah.
Text, but I'll look it
I
up.
think
if you
that's from a
want me to.
deep dive.
Oh yeah, look up all the context you need.
Okay, Martin Luther. Okay, well, I'll look this up a different time because we're getting off topic. This is, yeah, we're not talking about this right now. So, I think we were actually initially.
I like how,
talking
you
about
know,
free will, and
at this
actually
point in the
good spot.
conversation, I'm done. Like, you know, like I've had all I need out of the conversation. So now I'm just like, well, let's just fuck around here and see where this goes. You know, like I've got nothing else. I noticed that there's nothing else intellectually that I can benefit from this conversation at this point.
Well, let's continue to let David Google.
How in the story of,
Yeah,
of
I'll let him
Adam
talk.
and
And I'm
Eve,
just like, let's just
especially
let him
based on
talk.
Everything that you said about an abusive relationship, which part about God leaving them completely alone and basically letting them make the decision as to whether or not they were essentially going to quote unquote cheat on God, which would actually be, I would consider that to be a little bit more of a relational
Sure.
abuse
If you
than,
took 4-year-olds and put them in a room and said, "Don't eat this candy," and then left the candy in the room, what's going to happen?
Did he just say cheat on God?
They're going to eat the
they
damn
might eat
candy.
He
Yeah.
said cheat on God.
Don't be surprised. Don't act surprised, and don't
J
be there to
for
punish them
Jeebus.
for all eternity and all people for the rest of all eternity, just because 2 toddlers decided to eat some candy because they didn't know it was wrong.
Okay, so
It's
one thing
ridiculous.
that is worth
Because they couldn't know
is
it was wrong
ridiculous.
until they
The
ate
way
the
you're
candy.
explaining it is ridiculous because what you're not understanding is that this had nothing to do with the tree.
The tree was tempting.
The tree represented the concept of obedience. Obedience is not a
Oh,
physical
it's
thing.
So there wasn't a
poetry.
tree.
No,
It's
there was a tree.
poetry. Okay, so it's
Okay,
physical.
if I tell you not to murder someone,
Well, no. We're not talking about murder. We're talking about eating fruit.
I'm explaining a concept about what
Yeah,
I'm
but you can
talking
just
about.
use the actual example of eating fruit. If you told me not to eat fruit, it's
Sure.
God's fault.
Okay,
He shouldn't
fine.
have left the tree in the garden, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, so God created
Unattended.
Adam and Eve with free will. He wanted
dirt.
them to
He made
have
them out
the
of dirt.
choice.
Don't forget about the dirt.
And ribs and shit.
Yeah. He made them with the free choice to choose
Out
whether
of
or
dirt.
not they wanted to live.
Even though they didn't
in
have
him.
knowledge, even though they didn't know it was right or wrong, and they were basically children.
Okay, when you were so I don't know how far back in your life you could. I don't remember a lot as a kid, but I
love it when he says
And this is why Jeff, this is why and I've been studying more and more into because my whole thing has always been free will is not free will, it's actually an ultimatum. And
Yes.
I've actually went even stronger on that because I went through a few I think it was like 3 or 4 videos listening to Hitch, the great Hitch.
Yes.
And he made me double down on it. He made me double down because he and it's actually more simple than just the ultimatum. He said, no, it's not free will because we're given free will, and it's free will because the boss says it's free will. The boss being God. So it's not actually free will, it's forced upon us. Free will is forced upon us. So it's not actually free will philosophically.
Nope.
And it made me double down on it even more. It's like you can take it that way, where it's like, well, it's not free will because it's not free will because it was forced upon us by the boss, or it's not free will because it's an ultimatum where it's one or the other. And we go to the garden, and it's like, okay, you have this tree that you're not supposed to touch, and it's supposed to, and like you've already alluded to, and J. Mike alluded to, it's like, oh, it's illustrious and it's attractive and it's sexy and it's it has all these fruits on there that you just want to sink your teeth in, and it's like, but nobody tells you, nobody educates you or gives you any type of information on what this tree is going to do because you don't know the difference between right and wrong. Guess what? It wasn't free will.
Here's
You were
my
set up.
question.
You were-
Here's my
you were-
question.
Well, but
that
hold
I
on.
asked.
Is that not a setup? Is
It
that not a
is, but
setup?
here's what I ask, Oz. If Eve knew the outcome of her actions afterwards, do you think that she would have done it differently? And most theists would say yes. So therefore, she did not know the effect of her actions before she did it. She didn't know. You didn't read she didn't have full understanding. And you're punishing her for what she did without full understanding.
Well, sure.
And that's on God once again for being a
Right.
terrible communicator.
Yeah, he's a fucking awful comedian. He probably sent her a double entendre and she didn't understand it.
Yeah, and it's even like worse than that in the sense of it's like in this it's if you just go like so Eve at t equals 1, so time equals 1 has a predicament A or not A, so you can look at that as eat the tree or eat the apple or not eat the fruit, right? So that's the predicament at t1. At t2 she makes the decision. So if God's omniscient, just for me it's like there's at no point where Eve at t1 is going to be able to make an actual choice because it's always going to be what God has dictated at t2, and it's just as simple as that. My thing is like, if I created AI, right, and I created a house, and it's like, surely you shouldn't go inside this house, don't do it. I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to give you the option to do it, but I'm not going to explain really. I'm going to give you actually the wrong thing. Then the AI goes and does it. If I created all of the conditions and I created it, on every molecular level, it's going to do. If I changed one thing about it, then potentially it would have a different outcome. But that's not what happens. You have a very specific set of causal, relations that end up becoming this, inevitable. Well, the AI is going to go into the house, and now I'm going to curse every AI that I build after the fact, which is just like doesn't even make any sense.
You know what I would do is I would create a whole animal that I knew would piss me off, and then I'd drown them all to death.
Disobey my parents to know that what they told me was for a good reason. And then it would actually be ironically in me disobeying them and then basically having, you could say, that rush of going against authority, you could say, that then I'm like, oh, this feels cool.
This feels cool
throughout the rest of my life. Is that do you think do you think children should do that? Do you think children should disrespect their parents constantly and over again?
Do I think people should disrespect their parents constantly?
Should children be justified in continuously rebelling against their parents?
So you're telling me that you never did anything as a child against your parents?
No, I'm just asking you. I'm asking you if you think it's morally good or acceptable for a child to be rebellious against his parents.
It can be.
Yeah, exactly. So how is that being in an abusive relationship?
Wait, he agreed with me. Because there are situations in which it would be, I think, considered the correct decision to go against your parents in certain things. It is possible. You could have a shithead parent that's trying to steal stuff from a grocery store and you decide not to do it. That could be a good moral decision against your parents' wishes.
If my parents raised me and taught me to shoot at everybody who's walking by the house with a BB gun or something, and I rebelled against that, I would probably be on the moral high ground.
Is this a true story?
Back to the video.
Okay. You have an authority figure in your life who first of all has your best interests.
No.
But they also don't want to force you to do things. To just say, "Hey,
hold on. They don't force you to do anything." It's like I use this example a lot, and I think it's appropriate. Where you have a school system, and the superintendent's just gonna go, you know what? Got all these students, they all can see perfectly fine. I'm gonna make the system Braille. I'm going to give them the choice to be able to do well on these tests, but all the books are going to be in Braille, right? And it's going to be your fault whenever you fail the test because I structured this in such a way where it is absolutely so difficult for you to actually achieve the fucking goal here. And it's going to be free will, but not really free will because
I think you could take it another step. Oh, look who we got.
Oh, man.
From the future. It's a step further,
Mike, though. Real hair.
Oh, Canada.
So, Mike, it's like I give you. Not only does the superintendent give Braille, but he also does 4 other languages, like let's say Latin, Arabic, Sumerian, and Italian. And none of the students speak any of those languages. And then you say one of these 5 might be correct.
Yeah.
Study.
How do we figure that
Spend
out?
your entire life studying one of these 5. Or maybe there's 10,000 or 100,000. I don't know.
If you do, there are going to be consequences, and then say now that it's emotional or relational abuse. For God to have literally completely removed himself from the situation, basically literally left it up to them to either call on him to step in or to choose for themselves whether or not they wanted to obey or disobey. Which part of that is the emotional and relational abusive part about the relationship? Because to me, that sounds like cheating.
No, we're talking about our relationship with God when I was talking about an abusive relationship.
Okay. Well, it's basically the same as then. Nothing's really changed, except that God had to literally add
Is
more.
he trying to say that we are the
specifics
abusers
because we
of
want
God?
to keep finding reasons to, argue.
But then he
against
stopped. I think he's just shooting from the hip.
Challenge
2,000
him.
years ago. He was done. He went into
Right.
early retirement.
Oh, he's 100%
Well,
shoot from the
because
hip at this
well,
point.
Because there might not need to be any more reason to keep writing anything else. So I mean, he
Why would
did
a God
say-
need to write
he did say
anything to
that,
begin
this
with?
is, this is my law. Do not add or remove a single law.
And why would he use fallible humans to do that?
So,
That's almost smart, Neil. Come on.
You think,
eh, we're
right?
not.
Yeah, I agree with you, kid. It was not
So-
smart.
It's because they took God out of schools. That's why that was there. That's
Ladies
why.
and gentlemen,
Can you
Neil,
explain that a little
the
bit
604
more?
atheist, shows up
you
with
shall
logic
not
and
modify.
reason.
was a way of copywriting.
That's a
specific
first.
work.
Wait,
But
so
however, I
are
did
you
get one
saying
of
the
That's
Old
why it says.
Testament?
Ooh, that's why it says.
That's
You
badass.
shall not modify or change.
I'm using it correctly.
I don't
with
know.
my
I'll give you
data.
one. Yeah, I'll let you give a closing statement for 1 minute. Okay, so here's his. I'm going to give him a 1 minute
now.
closing statement. We're going to close this out.
Okay, so
Okay, hold
I
on.
just
Pause
want
it,
to
pause it,
preface-
pause it. All right, we have a little over 20-something people listening. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. This is the closing statement of a Christian apologist defending the abuse and the atrocity of his God.
And not to mention
most
originally
of this
talking
by
about slavery.
saying that, like I said in my TikTok video, when you come into an understanding of the full Bible, it's not going to make it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to you, or you're just going to find reasons to argue against it because you don't understand the gospel. And I didn't even get to finish because you interrupted me when I was trying to explain the gospel to you, so I'll do that at least.
Damn
So
you,
the
Jeff.
gospel says that we have all sinned and separated ourselves from God willingly. We've all chosen to do so willingly against our conscience.
Yeah, 15 seconds.
And Jesus came in the form of a man to live the perfect life in our place and die the death that we deserve in our place. And that all we need to do to be saved is to repent of our sin and put our faith in him. That is not something that you find in an abusive relationship. And that is what
Why not Brahma?
And
And when you
Yeah. So go be, Dom,
Well, I
go
appreciate
be
the call.
Charles Manson or Dahmer, and then just repent before you die, and there you go.
There you
You can
go.
do whatever you want. What a great system.
What if I'm in a foxhole? Can I still be an atheist in a foxhole?
So,
Or do I have
here's,
to repent?
here's what
Sorry.
So we're almost 2 hours in, and first of all, Neil, thanks for jumping on and hanging out with us. But here, after 2 hours, we still came to the same conclusion that the God of the Bible is a fucking dick.
No, I'm a
That's what we
theist
came
now,
down to.
actually. So
Okay, so somebody get him out of the feed. Somebody
Yeah.
take him out of the feed.
But snakes could talk. It's an evolutionary possibility since we're only talking apes that snakes could talk.
No, they don't have vocal cords.
No. But they could have evolved vocal cords at some time, and then all evidence of that has been erased.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, that's
part of
gotta
the
be- what?
Yeah, there's vestigial throat.
And they spoke to humans, by the way.
like our tail. Well,
Yeah,
actually,
they spoke to humans,
tail.
which was only 6,000 years ago. Yet we don't have any fossil records of talking snakes, or
I don't know if we would actually. But you'd have to look for, well, are there signs for vocal cords? Like, I think those just disintegrate after time. It's just the bones left. How would we know if they ever had vocal cords?
That's the magic.
Right. But
We know because of the Bible, Neil.
I keep forgetting that.
King had sex with his sister. I'm just throwing it out there. That's all I'm saying.
I call that wincest.
Wincest.
Yeah, because it's permitted by the Almighty. Wow, it's like, geez, he's sitting there. Some kid's gonna go to hell for being on a certain website looking at some acted version of it, and here you go, Cain just slaughtering people and just
getting it.
Yeah,
getting it,
gross.
getting it.
Well, I mean, not to mention our lineage 2 times comes from very close relations, if you include the whole.
So, by the way, I pulled up answers in Genesis about the Cain thing. I wanted to see their explanation on it, and
Oh boy,
it literally says,
ready for the fuckery.
Since where one blood descended from Adam and Eve, the only person Cain could have married would have been a sister or niece. I was just very actually taken back that they would actually admit to that, because you think that they'd just be like, well, it was an angel space virgin thing that happened. Like you just expect some ridiculous thing from Answers in Genesis.
Sounds like a better story to me.
Incest, yeah. So
No, the angel space alien, whatever you were saying, it sounds like a much better story than the incest story. The only incest I was ever cheering for was in Game of Thrones, but sorry.
No, you're good. I just know that this is now what I was looking at yesterday. Was it 9 months, 8 months, 8 months, 9 months we've been doing this, and we do not like this, but streams similar to this, and I still just walk away hating the Bible God, where it's like it just makes me angry. It makes me angry every time.
Yeah, we never seem to get any closer, do we, to like finding that evidence?
Yeah, well, not even the evidence.
What
just the treatment of his creation is my, I guess my issue is.
Oh, you're just angry at God.
I just hate God. I hate God.
I'm angry at Voldemort too, but
it's a story, right?
Yeah.
Pasta came and left, whispering.
He just popped in here and said something. He knows the story, right? I'm thinking he's referring to God knowing everything. Right?
And then Jay Max, and then he came in and whispered like some satanic shit, and then Jesus Mike just like disappeared.
God works in mysterious ways.
The pasta God. Oh, I see. Oh, there they are.
yeah, I don't know what
Randolph is asking. Right, Jeff.
There we go. There we go.
Everyone's back.
There we go. Blackout.
Oh, Kristen's in the chat.
Yeah, I was just going to say best name ever.
Whoa.
Who?
Best name ever made it. Oh, look at us.
Memories.
That's some old.
Look how absolutely shit that camera is.
Yeah.
I was on my phone.
I look like I'm in 1992.
I'm working on learning how to pick locks.
Well, and look. Oh, look
To
at that
this.
sexy ass.
This is where we're at today. Zombie
you were-
Jesus.
Jeff, I thought you were trying to get the shit from out under your fingernails.
No, I was picking a lock. Ethically picking locks. I'm learning how to pick locks for ethical reasons.
So I got T-Jump over here for dinner, and it looks like he brought an axe of his own, but I happen to have an axe too. I wonder who's going to win this time, T-Jump.
And then I showed up to the next show with a black eye.
That's great.
Yeah, where'd that
Gee,
go?
why-
Does that makeup? Looks like your eye's fine. Did you pray about it?
I prayed
Probably.
and it went away.
Prayer works really well. I use it
It
all
does.
the time.
It's like a miracle.
What's up, best name?
I actually prayed for Trump to lose the election. So this is actually fulfillment of my scripture.
And according to Romans 13, you can't question any authorities, right?
Correct.
That's right.
Don't do it.
So we're talking Jeff 13 or something, or Jeff?
I actually have been building inside of the Discord server the Atheist Trolls Guide to the Galaxy. And inside of there, we use AT as the verses. So there's AT5, AT5, 40, whatever. And I can just put something in
40
there and
whatever.
I refer to it. So when someone's like, well, how do you know this? I'm like, well, in AT533, it says that, snakes can talk, and there it is.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something like, in AT 445, it says, and don't smash the infants against the rocks because that's
Yeah.
really shitty. thing
No,
to
I do. I have opposites. Yeah, I do have opposites in there as well that says like slavery is bad.
Right. It's like, don't own
Don't
other
do
human
that.
beings. That's not a good
Yeah.
idea.
Don't own another person as property. It's not a good idea. And honestly, if someone's in debt and they're like really hurting, I think what you should rather do, rather than making them a slave, is gather the community together to take donations for this person to help them pay off their debt so that they can become a better, profitable piece of society. That might be a better option.
Or just create no need for
Randolph,
system to begin with.
this is
What
my
is
partner
going
in
on here?
crime. The hell are you doing?
Electrical work, renovations.
Ah,
I have to fix this mess that was left by the previous owner for us.
Looks safe.
This was
Make sure those wires are live too while you're working on
Did
it.
you
good,
lick
you
them
got the
first?
I see you got the signal. So I'm gonna.
I like to lick my wires to make sure they're live.
it's like those
120
random
won't
pictures
kill you.
of murder set.
Well,
Sometimes I use live wires in my deep dives.
So, Steve, I know you do some
I've
work.
hired.
I know that you do some work that might be around electricity, and I'm sure you felt 120 before.
I have felt 240 in the morning, my friend.
I got I got hit with 240 not too long ago from a wall oven. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing to play
That'll
with.
wake you up.
Oh yeah, yeah. 240 hertz.
I peed on an electric fence once.
Yeah. Are you being serious?
I'm absolutely being serious.
How did that feel?
Not good. Nope.
Apparently,
Very-
that's your.
actually,
Apparently, that
actually,
cures ED.
wow, I don't have VD.
It says so in AT533 that if you pee on an electric fence, it's cured erectile
That in your
dysfunction.
book, doesn't it? Ah, that's
It's in my book.
impossible. You gotta love it. Great.
Or,
well,
or you
then
can pray about it.
I'm STD free then because I peed on an electric fence. There you have it.
Yeah, that also works.
Suck the little buggers into non-existence. Yeah, that's right.
that sounds like the hard way.
But I got to tell you, it's not a good idea. I don't recommend it for people peeing on electric fences. I was dared into it and young and stupid when I did it, and I don't think my testicles have ever been the same. But not a good idea. Don't pee on an electric fence. Just and now you know.
You can touch one though. Touching it's fine.
Oh yeah, just
Everyone should
grab
do
right
that at
over.
least once.
We do that all the time. Who can last the longest? And by the time one of us lets go, our arms are numb. Like, you can't feel shit because after a time it builds up. So it's like ouch.
I like doing the line of people where you have everybody hold on to it, and then somebody grabs it and it goes through
The
everybody.
voltage gets smaller, right? You notice that it's not as powerful
Yeah.
when you get a whole bunch of people, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, as it goes through more and more resistance.
Yeah. it
It
disperses.
gets used up, like the load gets used, basically.
I literally just felt that episode of Peeing on the Fence just a few minutes ago, just because I was explaining it and I had that twinge happen. It's like, holy fuck, yes, I still remember that.
Like
Was it
muscle
better?
memory.
Like
Is
muscle
it-
memory, exactly.
Is it better the second time?
It's like, oh, well, I was thinking of hitting the bathroom after this. But
What is it? So an electric fence is what? How much voltage is that? Is it just really low amperage and high voltage?
it is, yes. That's more or less, yeah, because the amperage is what kills you.
Yep.
Yeah.
The voltage
So
is
it's like
there to make you
0.5 amps
fuck,
and 10,000 volts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'll
Like
never
a cattle
work.
prod or a
That's why I'll
taser.
never work on
Prefer to use
an arcade monitor.
Oh yeah, dude, arcade monitors can fuck you up.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
talked to this guy. I was like asking him. I was trying to get a little chummy with this guy that works at the arcade place down the street from me. I was like, I want to be able to pay someone cheap in case this my cab goes out. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, some guy in the business has been doing this for 30 years. He got shocked and he shit his pants and vomited at the same time. So I was like, yeah. He's like, that's your best case scenario. And
That
I was
sounds
like,
like
yeah,
my
I'm
He
doing
didn't
that.
die.
I was like, I will hire you to come and fix this when this goes out. So
Let me
fuck
tell you
monitor.
this. You get a large enough shock, every bodily function is going to happen at the same time. That's just, you're after the whole thing, you're going to be like, I got to go change.
the electric chair must be so pleasant.
yeah, right.
Yeah. And there's people
What a
that have
humane
lived through
way.
that.
Yeah,
How?
yeah.
They've lived through it. And then apparently you get let go if you live through it.
Really?
But I guess God doesn't want him, so he can go.
So Oz, do we have any
Yeah.
questions? Did anybody ask any questions?
No, but I'm
cool, I'm
about to
gone.
back myself
Bye.
up. Well, I was about to say I'm going to take myself off for a second because I got two theists that I'm talking to try to get at least one or maybe both of them on. So give me a second.
Oh, great.
I mean, I'm kind of tuckered out, but okay. Let me
Yeah,
get another
also-
beverage then. I need to get another
I gotta go.
beverage to get started.
Gavin
I
wants
gotta go
to
for
do
brunch
round
with
two
my
with
mom.
me, and I'm up for it.
Who?
Gavin, a fellow I debated with recently here on Tart.
Oh,
So, yeah. So he's interested in what I said about the Ten Commandments all being junk. So he wants to challenge me on that.
well,
So that's
there's a few in there, I think, or a couple, anyways, that are good, but could be reworded.
yeah, that's why they're junk. They need to be reworded.
Number one is the best. I mean, just just
No
think
other
about-
God before.
Yeah, I mean,
You
it's
need
just
the
like
admission
I
that
am
there are
the
other
shit.
gods.
No one else before me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, all
Yeah,
right,
It's
okay,
pretty
you
narcissistic
there.
in my view.
Yeah, if I catch you worshiping other gods, I'm going to hit you over the head with a fucking skateboard. All right. So
It's like
just-
an admitted.
Oh, no.
Misquoted
Just
it.
the
Admitting
gods
there's
before
other
him,
gods,
not the
too.
gods after, just the gods before him.
right.
It says,
Oh.
have no other God, plural.
Yeah, it's like an admitted
Before. It says nothing about goddesses.
Yeah.
polytheism confirmed basically by God himself.
Yeah. And you go far enough back in the Old Testament, they're all part of a pantheon of gods, anyways. Like, not Old Testament, but far enough back in Hebrew, ancient Israelite mythology, I'll call it, because it's
Yeah.
all fucking mythology to me, anyways. But they're talking about, El and Yahweh both being there, and Baal.
Yeah, Well, and I always say people always kind of focus on the especially with the Old Testament, like this, slavery or the things that are horrible with it. But it's like New Testament is worse by just one thing, and that's just the introduction of infinite punishment for finite crimes. Because in the Old Testament,
Which is
it's not, you just die, right? It's not like they don't have this kind of concept of just eternal. I actually even think that their afterlife is more of that they're actually risen from their physical bodies. I think is what I could be wrong about that, but I think that's more so what it was. And then it's like the New Testament's like, screw all the slavery stuff. It's like, no, you literally forever will go through the worst pain of your life. It's like, okay, so thanks for introducing that. Peace and love, Jesus.
Yeah. And I believe the term was indentured servitude. This is the bullshit term that came up with.
Yeah,
slavery.
You're muted. Oh, there goes Jeff.
The actual term is my bitch. That's what it is. In Old Testament Hebrew, they just mistranslated it. It's supposed to say my bitch.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
It's in AT 633.
What is going on? We're being shuffled around. Like, is Pastor Mike
He's
drunk?
fucking with the wires.
He's mixing
He's fucking with all the wires.
He's stirring
All
the
the
Oh, and
wires.
that's-
Trying to figure out which circuit breaker switch goes for this one so I can shut it off and
We'll just pop it. Put those two wires together. You'll find out which one's right.
that's true.
Yeah, I don't think I want a plasma show here.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was Kristen that
That's a
said
good
it.
idea.
Thanks. I just read the
Now, the
nice
real
new
question,
Mike deal.
J. Mike,
Thank you.
is
Same
who
Mike,
are they
just
getting
was
on the
around.
show right now? I want to know what they're doing backstage, who they're getting ready. And I hope it's not Pastor John because, well, maybe it's better for Pastor John to come on right now because it's later and maybe his kids will be in bed this time so that he's not talking about necrophilia while his daughter's on his lap.
Yeah, that comment. Someone commented that on
What?
a video, and I couldn't
Yeah,
stop.
you missed that one?
Is that legit? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, he
Well,
was
no,
asking if it's
rightfully
moral.
understood why you cut me off. I mean, I completely get your
He was talking to
concern.
T-Jump about morality, and he was asking if it was moral to have sex with a dead body if you have consent.
Consent from
Only
a
if
dead
you got
no.
their consent before they
Yeah,
die.
we're not going to know, but still, how do you get consent from a dead person?
That
No,
was
before
part
they
of
did.
our discussion,
Well, yeah. So
but he brought it up.
well, John brought this up to me.
It's
on
a
the
strange
phone.
topic to raise.
Well,
With a
so,
kid in your lap, yes.
I don't remember if you remember
that's
just when I dropped my key in my yard.
Yes, your yard.
I was like walking for like 2 days trying to find it in my yard, and I talked to John for like, I don't know, probably like 6 hours, like on the phone, like debating this, and he asked that question about that, and so I was like, that's what I was kind of asking him. I was like, so am I giving permission? Like I'm writing in my diary, like if I die, John and Beth can eat me, like that's okay. Like how exactly in this proposition is somebody giving you like, you know, hey, when I die, it's cool if you eat me, like perfectly okay. Like it was such a weird. And I was like, I mean, if sure, I guess it's,
I would totally do that though, just to save friends of mine. I would say, yeah, if it like that movie where they crash in the mountain and they eat the people, you got my consent. If it's your survival, go ahead. My
No,
ass
no,
cheeks.
I hope.
So when that plane crashed, one of the guy's sisters was dead. They thought was dead, right? So they leave her out in the snow, right? Days go by and she was in a coma. And because she was in the snowpack, it like preserved her body or something, and she survived.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. There's a
Probably
book about it.
Induced
How long was
hibernation.
she,
Kind of thing?
Yeah, something. So there's a documentary about it, and there's a book. And in the documentary, they actually talk with like some neuroscience and some other people about like what could have happened there. And basically, they do some sort of therapy on people in traumatic like brain injuries and other things where they actually chill them. They like get them down to this like 50-degree temperature, and it like slows down the process of the mind so it can heal, or something higher level than the way I'm describing it. But basically they were able to preserve, slow down the bleeding, slow down the damage to the girl's brain because her head was sticking out in the snow, and she came to a couple days later
Before they started eating her,
before they started eating people. Yes.
which is probably good.
Yeah.
It's like,
How long was
I mean,
dude, but
what do you think about that situation though? You think it's a marital thing, like a moral thing to eat another person if you're in that situation?
How long was she out for?
survival?
Like a day or two, something like that.
Not 3 days, like Jesus.
No.
I was thinking
That's
maybe
ridiculous.
that's what happened to
3 days.
Jesus. He got frozen.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, yeah.
It's not really cold in the Middle East though.
No.
The problem is with the whole resurrection story's got a big fucking hole in it if you know anything at all about how cells work.
Yeah, it's the hole in the cave.
Two big holes. But once brain death occurs, cell death starts happening. And cell death usually ends around anywhere between 40 or half an hour to 45 minutes after brain death. Once cell death occurs, there's no reanimating the body, period. So if resurrected, the only version of the story that has any credence or interpretation, depending on which fucking Bible and all that other horseshit, is he would have been spiritually resurrected and not bodily. But then again, the body apparently disappears,
magic.
according to the myth.
But magic.
Yeah. Sure.
It's magic.
Sure. Why not? Everything happened by magic. He spoke
Magic.
everything into existence.
You're talking about the
Yet he
point of
burns
no
witches with stakes, which I don't get.
But have you
How come
heard
they
of me
can't be
being
burned?
me being a former Catholic, Catholics have a very large amount of church tradition in addition to biblical history.
His story's on my channel.
What?
I was just saying your story is on my channel.
Oh. So as a
Shameless
Catholic,
plug.
you would hear some stories. And one of the stories that circulates and that you can watch videos of is people that somehow are chosen to experience crucifixion. And so they mysteriously get like their hands will get
Stigmata?
sores in the center, and they'll
Stigmata.
experience crucifixion throughout 3 days.
Now, are
That's
they
what they call-
experiencing it here in the palm or here in the wrist?
Like I don't know where it actually
Not
is,
the left
but they'll have wounds magically appear on their hands and feet, and they'll have
Stigmata,
like a
look it
cut
up.
on their side appear.
Fucking bullshit is what it is.
Hold on, I'm going to Google it because I forget what it's called.
Stigmata.
It's called Stigmata.
Yeah.
Or it's called
My
cutting
band, my old band actually had a song called Stigmata.
Yeah.
or it's just called cutting yourself.
Hang on. That would have been a very more hardcore version than the version of Stigmata that I know, which was, I think, very early Ministry.
Oh, dude,
That was
Ministry
something.
rock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're awesome. I was supposed to see them, but they wouldn't let them across the border because their mic stands were made out of actual human bones.
You know, I've wondered if Jesus was to return, would he gravitate toward the people bearing the crucifix that tortured him to death, or would he be wanting to stay away from them to prevent it from happening again?
Like, yeah, is he pissed off with all the people with crosses? Like, he comes back and is like, "What the fuck, guys? Like, what part of my story makes you think I like crosses?"
Yeah.
Bauhaus, Grumpy Old Cuss. Yeah, Bauhaus was awesome. Saw them once. I fuck. 86, right around Expo, I think. Yeah, it's around there.
Now I'm seeing a bunch of Stigmata movies, and I'm kind of interested.
Well, there's a
What is
famous
it
one, I
that
think. Isn't that the one that's got fucking Schwarzenegger in it? I think.
Is it?
I think there's one that's got him in it, and he's got. I can't remember how the fuck it goes, man.
There's one
My
from
memory
September
sucks.
10th, 1999.
What's that called?
Stigmata.
Okay, it's
The messenger is here, it says.
Oh no, that's not the one I'm thinking of.
Supernatural horror film directed by Rupert Wainwright and distributed
Definitely
by
not.
Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. It was written by Tom Lazarus and Rick Ramage. Story follows an atheist hairdresser from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who was affected with stigmata after acquiring a rosary formerly owned by a deceased Italian priest who himself had suffered from the phenomenon.
Kristen got it. End of Days is the one I'm referring to.
Oh, yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah, I thought there was a case of stigmata in that. I don't know.
100 Days was good. It was
There's been a
weird,
few movies with like that. Oh yeah,
but I'm going to watch
about
Stigmata tonight and drink heavily.
I need another beer.
It
Where you
grossed
guys-
18.3 million in its first weekend.
Not bad for a
Yeah.
scary-esque show.
It had a $29 million budget. And it was out
Just
about
like
the same time as The Sixth
tiny.
Sense.
Oh yeah,
It got poor reviews. Roger Ebert called it possibly the funniest movie ever made about Catholicism from a theological point of view.
there you go.
It also was nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actor.
Here, really?
Worst supporting actor.
He lost
it
to Ahmed Best as Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks beat him for worst supporting actor. That guy had some serious like mental problems after the critical response of Jar Jar Binks and being told that he ruined the series.
Well, he must have been a fan of the show that probably cut too deep for him.
Yeah. I mean, watching those movies now later. Oh, Oz is here. You look like you. No, we can't hear you. You're muted.
I didn't mean to go front. I didn't mean to go front. And
Good on.
what's up, Randolph?
Oh, that looks just brutal.
He's building a treehouse.
Oh, cool. I guess that's what they. I guess that's what they do for one.
This mess
At
that
2
was left
o'clock.
behind by the previous owner.
Well, don't hurt yourself.
No, I think I know which circuit I need to shut off. It's the one that all my servers are hooked up to.
Oh, the key word was think. He thinks. So hopefully see you tomorrow, Randolph.
So I'll have to finish this later tonight.
No, but I had two theists that I was talking to. They both said it was too late because they probably have to get up and go to church in the morning or something like that.
Probably.
J Mike, you want to go to church tomorrow with me?
Go suck Dodd's dick for
My
a little
church
while.
is my church is my couch watching football. So that's
We
my
could just
Sunday.
go to church and watch football.
Huh? I'm down to. I'm
Seahawks
down to,
are playing tomorrow. That's all I know.
Damn.
Seahawks versus who the fuck are they playing? Hang on.
I also don't want to get
If
COVID.
they're not on my fantasy team, then I don't care. No, no I play. I
Pat
played
wants to
like
say a prayer for me.
stuff like that, so.
I'm immune because I'm an atheist.
I'm covered in the blood of Jesus Christ, and I'm not going to wear no mask.
Hand me a towel.
Hold on.
But not the Shroud of Turin.
All of a sudden, no, this deserves a pause. All of a sudden, best name ever is on the hashtag mute Oz train. That's
Yeah.
not cool.
Yep.
That's
Saw
not
that.
cool.
Yeah.
We're
Like,
playing
what-
it. Let's find out.
Kirsten, you
best
and I
name-
are going to have a chat. Freedom of expression.
Yeah, Kristen, I
Go
thought it was
Hawks.
cool. I thought it was cool. I'm just kidding. But
Oh,
if you're watching, if I'm reading and trying to talk at the same time, which is not a good idea. Jesus' blood does not protect electric shock. That's true. So, Randolph, there's another ding against you. but no, Jeff, on your original episode that we reviewed tonight, great job, man.
Hey, thanks for having this. Was fun. We got to do this more frequently.
Yeah, it was, and especially when you get ones like that that it's an obvious domination, And,
We just talk about snakes having vocal cords, and
yeah, it's
At
it's
least
great.
donkeys have vocal cords, so there's some.
Are you saying that
No,
can
very,
use-
very good.
I mean, we could talk about ants talking to people too, because that's also in other religious holy books where they think that ants can talk to people.
Have you seen Empire of the Ants? Come on.
Are ants like crickets? Like they just rub their little
Well, they have
legs
pheromones.
together?
Yeah, it's chemical.
They can leave pheromones, but they don't talk to people,
No,
as stated in the Quran.
All I know
but
is
Muhammad flew on a winged horse too. So.
It doesn't say horse. That's only some. That's only some hadiths. That's not all of them.
winged beast or something or whatever.
Winged vessel,
Yeah.
I believe is what it says.
you know what, gentlemen. The only thing that matters is the best name. She retracted. Said unmute Oz. So fuck everybody.
Not me. I've never been on the mute
And-
bandwagon.
And I will say that Randolph even emailed me. He was like, "I am not on board this mute Oz train." He has said that from the jump. So I actually appreciate that. So
Fucking part.
everybody else that said mute Oz, fuck you. But no, Jeff, great job on the episode, man. And we had a blast going through that tonight, and lots of laughs and lots of fun. And I will, you know what, Nate Dogg, because you said that, I actually looked at my text when you said that. I was trying to get Theus on. We had tons of atheists on. I was trying to get a couple of theists on. But no, we'll get you back on here and talk some shit. And you can even come on as Harry Carey one night when we're having some fun. But everybody that's been here, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And we'll see you, what's today? Saturday? We'll see you tomorrow night. And just so you know, Atheist Chico, I got bars. I got bars for tomorrow night. Bars. So just know it.
That was